This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Asserto. President William Ruto has left the country for a state visit to Japan, the first by Kenyan head of state in 2 decades. According to a State House statement, the visit is expected to strengthen and rekindle bilateral relations between Kenya and Japan. The visit by Ruto follows Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's state visit to Kenya in May 2023 and commemorates the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Ruto's official visit will be marked by intensive bilateral talks with Prime Minister Kishida, with a focus on economic cooperation in key sectors such as health, ICT, infrastructure, energy, and financial services. Several important memoranda of understanding are on the agenda, including defense cooperation, public-private partnerships for road construction, and the expansion of the Kenya Medical Research Institute's laboratory, KEMRI. These as Kenya and Poland signed 2 MOUs on tax solidarity, agriculture and rural development. President William Ruto said Kenya is enhancing its partnership with Poland in the agriculture and food security sector to bridge the gap in the demand for grains in the country. Addressing the media, Ruto, together with the Polish President Andrzej Duda, said the partnership will help Kenya to achieve its food security goals.
We already have 350 milk cooling plants around Kenya, courtesy of a program between our two countries. And I am looking forward to the speedy conclusion of the other 650 milk coolers that will help expand our dairy industry, save on the post-harvest losses.
Derek Kimathi, the proprietor of the illegal gas plant who was being sold by police, surrendered to police in the company of his lawyer Ngugi Kirathi. Meanwhile, police and EPRO officials dismissed reports that there was gas leakage from the site where Thursday's incident occurred. Led by Police Commander Adamson Bungei, they said they checked all the 4 tanks at the facility and they were all empty.
Na sasa hivyo tumefanya upekuzi ama kukagua zile mitungi zilizopaki mahali hapa kuhakikisha kwamba hakuna yeyote ile ambayo iko na gesi ama it is pressured. All of them are empty, and I can assure you as your security commander in Nairobi that you are safe now within this facility. Kwa hivyo anytime, any minute, my calls are always ready and open for you for any support at any time of call. Kwa hivyo tufanye kazi na wale viongozi wa hapa mashinani na wale wengine wote ambao watashirikiana pamoja na nyinyi.
Meanwhile, Nairobi County government says that 761 people are affected by the gas fire in Embakasi. Acting County Secretary Patrick Analo said that 148 households were affected, 50 businesses were burnt, and 15 people are still missing. Analo and air officials further assured residents of their safety.
This morning we have received a report of a gas smell at that site of the incident. We've dispatched our team from disaster management led by Chief Brahms Miu, whom I will be welcoming to give some remarks. We've also called EPRA to screen the area and comb it. And remember, the area is still a crime scene, so it's condoned. But should we find that is an imminent threat, there will be further evacuation of the people who stay in that area.
We've evacuated the surrounding area. We have invited EPRA to come in with the technical experts to be able to identify and isolate the threat, if any. But
elsewhere, Azimio leader Raila Odinga has attributed poor planning in Nairobi to the explosion witnessed in Embakasi, leading to loss of lives and property. Speaking in Kisumu, Raila said planning has been abandoned in the county as everyone is embracing chaos.
Nairobi is mourning its dead and treating hundreds of injured because the city ignored planning and allowed a gas filling plant where none was supposed to be. Even our roads as a country have become death traps because planning was long discarded. Our cities and towns need investment, both local and foreign, but investors can't put their money where there is neither order nor law.
Raila has further denied endorsing President William Ruto's affordable housing initiative as a worthy cause. In a statement via the party's X handle, Raila distanced himself and the entire Azimio coalition from the program a day after Ruto said the former Prime Minister had given the initiative a nod of approval. Now, former ICTPS Sami Itemere and 12 others have been set free in a 122 million shillings theft case. Milimani Chief Magistrate Lucas Onyina, however, said his co-accused persons, including Kakamega Deputy Governor Ayub Savula and his two wives, will have to go through the trial. Onyina granted the application, noting that the prosecution bears the burden of proving the case beyond reasonable doubt. This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto, good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people. And we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship. And even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. Na hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Revenge is for children. It's for kids. When you grow up, you realize the best revenge you can take on somebody is to ignore them.
Now, I'm just new in politics. It is not everybody's cup of tea. That's why some people come in one term and that's it for them.
Political parties in this country do not have ideologies, whether luring or otherwise.
And that is the effect of corruption.
Any time an offense occurs anywhere in the country, it is the job of the Inspector General to look into it. Whether it's corruption, whether it's murder, whether it's petty, that is his job.
If we have chosen to be a corrupt nation, then we produce corrupt leaders.
Good morning. It's Tuesday and still streets where traffic is moving, not an issue, not for now, that is. As we're getting into the morning, let's see what's coming off the off of Waikiwe. Seems that there would have been a bit of a hold up right there in that little nook as you come in from Kangemi, but nothing crazy. We're looking at traffic moving smoothly coming off of Thika Superhighway as well. We're not going to have an issue here either. On Gong Road is also looking pretty good. As we wake up to Tuesday, we'll see that traffic will flow. It'll be fine and getting through the day. For now, let's see what happens as we get closer to traffic hour. We've started Tuesday off right. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
Okay.
The only way
How are you doing? It's Tuesday, 6th of February. Already, it was fast just the other day. Hey.
Yes, it's Tuesday.
Hey. How you doing, Do?
Fine, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you too.
Kusalama.
Niko sawa. Niko sawa. Nashukuru Muumba.
What?
Muumba.
The creator. Ah, okay.
Wa mbingu na nchi. Na vyote vilivyomo. Hadi mwisho wa dahari alisema hani wachi.
Oh, that's a song.
Yeye ni Mungu aliye mwaminifu siku zote. City.
Yes, please.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Me, I'm fine.
How do you do? How do you do?
I've always found it very strange, but it's peculiarly interesting.
Weird greeting.
Yes, it doesn't make sense, but it's interesting. How do you do? How do you do?
Quite funny. Quite funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Mambo iko sawa, sio?
Mambo iko maridadi.
Okay.
Mambo iko bamba.
Okay. Hiyo ni mzuri kabisa. Sasa basi, today is International Anti-FGM Day or something like that.
There's something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are so many, every day is an international day.
For something.
That's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we are internationalizing everything.
Let's see what it is.
Just wait, even terrestrial creatures are going to get their
International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation.
There you go.
That's something important.
It's a big one.
So I will not mention any terrestrial being lest I be accused of
FGMing.
No, yeah, well, desecrating the day and not giving it the maximum respect it should get. Tomorrow I'll talk about the terrestrial beings.
Okay. Okay. What's the theme of Anti-FGM Day in 2020? Oh, no, that was 2023. I don't think they have a theme this year.
Do people remember these themes?
The themes?
Yes, there's a reason why I'm asking.
I have no idea.
If you have a day and you have days and every year there's a day and there's other days and so forth and there's a theme, do you have even the time to pause and recall and understand how it is that theme can be operationalized and what it actually means over a period of time? What it means of the day, yes, we'll discuss it. And then after that day?
Yeah, practicing and establishing and implementing the different tenets of that particular theme. Do you actually soak it in and take it?
And who comes up with the theme? Is it like those guys of burgundy and gold?
It's those
just because.
Yes. Kawaida single.
Because I can.
Yeah.
Kawaida couple.
What color sounds burgundy? Let's tell people to come in burgundy.
And then gold.
And then gold. And a dash of gold.
See?
So on this International Anti-FGM Day.
Emerald green.
You see?
As opposed to what? Forest green?
Yeah, there's forest green. There's mint green.
There's lime.
There's apple green.
There's green cobra. green mamba.
Wow.
Then there's the Hulk.
There's Hulk green.
Can you imagine if somebody tells you, please come in Hulk green,
algae
cockroach
green.
brown?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the conversation today. Let me tell you what we'll be discussing at 7 a.m., where we'll talk about Nairobi and its few problems and many opportunities. Okay, we choose to be positive.
Okay, let's go with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
High-rise buildings and disasters. That's a few problems. Is Nairobi ready as a county? That's the opportunity. See, forward thinking. Robert Alai is the MCA for Kilelesho Ward in Nairobi County. He comes at 7 a.m. At 8 o'clock, we talk to the government spokesperson. His name is Senator Dr. Isaac Mwaura.
Okay. Are you a senator for life?
That's the title.
Hey.
It's a title. Title doesn't die. You are senator, one senator, always senator.
You don't remember Mutahi Kagwe?
Okay, so no.
Honorable Senator Mutahi Kagwe, EGH, Minister for Health.
Yeah, okay.
Cabinet Secretary, rather.
Okay. Sorry, don't be angry. No vex.
Yeah. So he will come and talk to us about government issues, state of the nation. There are very many questions. Okay. The disaster response in Nairobi and what the government is doing about that and updates on that. And then we have the one platform payment system and all these questions that have come out of it. And very many things to talk to him about. Mambo ni mingi. He comes at 8 a.m. for that conversation. And then the plight of needy students in Kenya, Gloria Oroba is the nominated senator. She comes at 9 for that as well. Yo to Ikonom Nagani?
Maridadi sana.
Maridadi. All right. Ndu? You do like that.
Sawa.
Okay? Tunataka dola kwa mfuko.
Finya,
So finya hiyo kitu. Sawa.
Sawa.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather.
Nairobi, 17 degrees, highs of 26 and lows of 16. We'll see lows of 13 in a partly cloudy Nakuru, going to highs of 27. And it's cloudy at 12 in Nyeri with highs of 26. It's 11 degrees and partly cloudy in Eldoret with highs of 25. Looking into a partly cloudy Mombasa at 26 with highs of 33. And Malindi is cloudy at 27 with highs of 33 as well. All right, looking into mostly cloudy Kisumu at 19, we'll see highs of 29. While in Kakamega at 15, it's mostly cloudy with highs of 30. All right, and then into clear Kampala at 20, we'll see highs of 29 and lows of 18, while in Dar es Salaam it's clear at 27 with highs of 33, and into Johannesburg it's clear at 15 with highs of 32, and Mogadishu is cloudy at 26 with highs of 32, while Addis Ababa at 10 degrees is mostly clear with highs of 25. Lagos this morning is hazy at 24 with highs of 35, while Kinshasa at 23 is cloudy. We'll see highs of 32 and lows of 23. It's a sunny Tuesday afternoon in Beijing with highs of 6. We'll see lows of -3, 8 degrees and cloudy in Paris, and 12 degrees and cloudy in London. 2 degrees and clear in New York. Monday night coming into Tuesday, we'll see highs of 8 and lows of -2.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Where? Okay. Don Sabo says good morning. He says there will be a dedicated terminal for high-end travelers at JKIA. Oh, really? Okay. Christopher Gore. Hey, that's an interesting
Who's a
name.
high-end traveler?
A high-end traveler. I don't know, really.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, whatever.
Anyway, go on, please.
Christopher Ogore. I've never heard that name, and I think it's quite unique. Ogore. Is it a? It's not a.
A lure name.
Yeah, I know, but it's not. What's the word I'm looking for?
Common name.
Thank you. Common. Okay, I'm asking by saying I'm asking. Please don't look at me
By
like
the
that.
way, I'm not looking at you, just looking at you. I'm thinking.
Ah, voila. Okay. As you
Yes.
think, let's say good morning to Joram. As you think about that, I really want to know the answer.
Process a bit slow this morning, so.
Yeah, me too. Right. Joram Mombo. Hey, there's another one. Mombo. Good morning, Super Trio. Continue to do the Lord's work on our behalf. Evans Tabo says good morning.
Ole.
CT Eric Ednah, be blessed. Agri Momanyi says good morning. Hey. Tap tunaenda lini tap ngete. What is that?
Ile mahali watu naambiwa finya computer. Haujui?
Sijui mimi.
Tapping a thing.
We click the laptop and earn dollars. Have a great Tuesday. I wish things were just that easy. Evans Nyangano says, good morning. Spice Trio, looking forward to a great conversation. Robinson Kisero says, good morning from Hong Kong. It's chilly this morning and heading into the afternoon. Chris Adede says, good morning, Eric Ndu and CT. I'm tuned in from Utawala. Spice Crew, after Zakaya proposed that parents should start paying fees through eCitizen, did he ever think that some don't pay fees fully at once? How will they be pleading with the principal? That's a good question. Cash Bish says, good morning from British Columbia. Salimieko Ednah. Put your hands in the air. There you go.
I'm Salamika. All right.
Amakayo Keo says, good morning. Kedu y'all, Kedu Kode. Make it a great morning. We shall. Brian Otieno says, good morning. Poor governance and impotent parliamentarians breed shambles. Hey. Joel Odondi says, good morning. There's a heat wave, which... in Kansas City, and he says it's 2 degrees Celsius, so that's a heat wave.
You know, as you said, I was thinking now, Joel, surely it's still winter. So the heat wave, but 2 degrees.
It's been minus 20. It's been minus 25.
Thank you, Joel. Yes, 2 degrees, we get it.
George Okoh says, good morning to everybody. Now, Apenda Sana. Robert Mbogo says, good morning. Mashari Anjero is also here. Frederick Oremo is here. Lillian Atieno says, good morning. Listening in from Kisumu. Deep State says, good morning, y'all. Good show, good people. Chamge, my beautiful people, says Anne Gore from the beautiful hills of Saboti in Trans Nzoia. Kitale na Apenda Sana. Siku njema. Mwonekana subui.
Subui.
Yeah. Deep State is asking, which country is this? Which one? Nyanjwa Victor says, good morning from Mazeras. Jeffa is also tuned in this morning and says, good morning from Nyayo Embakasi. David Ogola is tuned in from the Kikuyu region. Okay. Beaches of the Ambo says, good morning. You're off air. Please sort. So, really? In Kisumu? Kisumu folks, are we off air? Want to tell us? Talk to us.
We'll check it out.
Yeah, Dr. Venvik is tuned in from Chuda in Mombasa. Jeffrey Mogaka is also tuned in. Jane Kinaro is here. And Jonjo Kahato says, Mimi at a wedding. Where did he go? Wait, he has disappeared. He says, Mimi at a wedding theme. Colors, who are Nashida? Burgundy, red, scarlet, maroon, crimson, falu, carmine.
Sounds like told a touch of something.
A touch of something. Nyaboke says, Ndu, please say hi to my main man, Jeffrey Mogaka. Tell him I want flowers for Valentine's Day or what. Jeffrey, I have been sent. Please take this very seriously. Nyaboke says, please, Valentine's Day is what? Coming. She's not the one who's asking where is your boyfriend, because she knows where you are. So all we're asking, please, even if it is one flower, a red one, picked from the bunch, deliver it to Nyaboke on my behalf. Please. Please, I've begged you in front of the world, so don't let me down. Sawa, Nyaboke, I've sorted you out. Beatrice Odhiambo says, good morning. Mboiri Rohingya is also tuned in. Rutherford Maganga is here. And Pia Wanjohi, John Lemiso, everybody's awake this morning. I see you, David, Eric, George Okoth, Kesh Danny, good morning. And Karibu Sana.
Indeed. City, we're in the country of Namibia.
Yes.
Which has a new president.
Yes.
Okay.
And whose capital is Windhoek. It isn't Windhoek.
Windhoek.
Anyway, who am I to argue? Today's proverb is very simple and straightforward.
Okay.
Darkness conceals the hippopotamus. Have you ever seen a brown hippopotamus? Doesn't exist. They're all black.
No, they're not.
Hippopotamus, what? You've seen the blue ones, have you?
They have a tinge of brown.
Black.
Say brown in Kiswahili.
I have no idea.
Anything that's not white or red is black.
As long as it's dark, black.
Quoi?
Yeah.
In Kiswahili?
And just light skin.
Oh, you mean in Kiswahili?
Normal language. I mean, normal speak.
Oh, voilà, like.
A light-skinned person is what? Mtu mweupe.
And we know that
mweupe is white.
Yes, and yet we know they're a shade of brown.
It's very interesting.
When someone says this person is yellow, they're not yellow. They're just light brown.
It's light-skinned.
Yes.
So tukisema hippopotamus ni nyeusi, we're not saying ati ni nyeusi.
We're not saying darker. It's not darker, blacker. It is, just dark.
So confused. Darkness
does not hide the hippopotamus.
No, actually, it actually conceals a hippopotamus.
I think hippopotamus is such a weird word, and I like it too.
Hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus. In the dark, you can't see that animal.
Just no, you can't. Neither can you see how.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. It can be standing next to you.
And you will
not see it.
I'm just trying to figure out where you would be standing that you would be standing next to a hippo.
Kwa shamba tu hapo.
Hapo tu?
Yeah.
Because it eats at night. And
they forage.
Yes, and you will be going for the walkabout, and the hippopotamus is going for the eat about.
Say what? Okay.
Sasa, higher headline.
Anger.
We have a paper, one paper again today.
Again today, but let's just go with it. Okay. Anger as hundreds stare death in the face. It's the picture of the remains of what happened after the fire blast in Embakasi. Residents at Nairobi's Embakasi estate are living in fear of another explosion, whereas police say the place is safe. The sight of gas tankers and talk of new leakages has residents all worried. You'd be worried too. Let's look all over this, right? Butterflies all over, myths and science. It's interesting yesterday because I was out in the city and actually they're everywhere. I think it's it's a beautiful sight. I don't think there's anything to worry about, but okay.
There are many white little things flying about.
But the interesting thing is in a month they will not be there. They'll be gone, but okay. Tyler.
You want them to stay?
Do I want the butterflies to stay? How do you say a butterfly is flying in Kiswahili?
Kipepeo.
In a pepea. And then what's wind? Upepo. Okay. Tyler beats Davido to win a Grammy Award. Yes, there's an African category and we see that. Little known Tyler beats Davido. FGM survivors vow to protect all girls. I guess that's the theme. We're looking at World International Day for Zero
Tolerance
to FGM. Okay. Now, 11.1 trillion shillings in debt is what Kenya is in. And the EACC is now saying they want to probe this debt and look at whether Kenya actually really owes this money. And if it was borrowed, where did it go? EACC moves to probe 11.1 trillion shillings debt. MCK is in... Stop laughing. MCK is in court over assault on journalists. MCK. Which one? There are many MCKs now. I'll look up details in a minute. Mbumba sworn in as president. This is in Namibia. AFCON, just 2 more matches to go. Tomorrow, Nigeria takes on South Africa. And the match after that, Côte d'Ivoire takes on DR Congo. Okay, so that's the top of the headlines. There's many more stories in the paper. We'll look at those as we go along. And you tell me when you want us to start.
Okay. We can do traffic first.
Okay, voila.
Sawa. All right. It's 28 minutes after 6. Let's take a look at traffic and then we'll look at the headlines in detail.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, where are we at 6:30? Are we seeing any movement? We're seeing a hold-up on... coming off the Thika Superhighway just at the Pangani underpass through the tunnel. Traffic is, at a standstill. Of course, it's because of the tunnel. Before that, we're not seeing much. A little bit here and there as you're coming in from Githurai. It's going to hold up just a bit, but the service lanes are looking good. All the way till you come through to Kasarani, just beside Tusker Village, and that slows down just a tad. But again, nothing to worry about right now. Gong Road looks good. It's flowing free and smoothly into the city, and movement on Langata Road for now is good. Let's look at Jogo Road, where again, right around the Makadara train station, folks getting on and off. It's going to slow down through towards the City Stadium roundabout. On Outer Ring, some movement here and there. We're not going to see any hold-ups, at least not for now. Let's see what happens as we get closer to traffic hour. Do talk to us this morning. Help us out. SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag #TheSituationRoom.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission wants to probe the country's 11 trillion shilling debt. Now, they've promised to investigate how the country's debt rose to 11.1 trillion. The subs. Oginde says the commission will investigate how borrowed funds were utilized in past and present projects. And MP opposes calls to give EAC prosecutorial powers, noting the commission could not investigate and prosecute at the same time. So basically being told they need to choose one. Okay, so the details. With the current government incurring a debt of over 2.4 trillion shillings since coming into power, the commission said some of the projects that benefited from the funds were on its radar. This came as the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, JLAC, threw its weight behind calls to investigate how the funds have been used. This emerged during a meeting between EACC senior officials and members of the Parliamentary Committee in Naivasha. According to the EACC chairman, Bishop David Oginde, I beg your pardon, the commission will investigate how borrowed funds were utilized in past and present projects in the country. Addressing the press on the sidelines of the meeting, Oginde said the commission would not work in isolation in fighting graft in the country. He says, we are aware of the rising debt and the commission will continue with its investigations on current and past projects where the country could have lost taxpayers' cash. He denied allegations that the Naivasha retreat was a follow-up to the State House meeting between President William Ruto and judiciary following allegations of graft. JLAC Chair George Murugara said the committee fully supported the EACC investigations as to how the borrowed cash from the state was used. He said, we are happy that the rising public debt, which stands at over 11.1 trillion, is on EACC radar, as the public needs to know how their cash was used. Now, Tharaka MP has opposed calls to give the EACC prosecutorial powers, noting the commission could not investigate and prosecute at the same time. This was echoed by EACC CEO Twali Mbarak, who noted that prosecutorial powers could be misused on political grounds. He was, however, quick to note that they were working closely with the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, noting that low budgetary allocation, insufficient staff in the judiciary, and bad leadership were affecting their work.
Right. Now, does EACC have the capacity really to actually do a deep dive into this debt?
I read this and asked the question, what's actually going on here?
What game is afoot?
What is going on here? All of a sudden, down to the blues. Of all the cases that ethics and anti-corruption have, their hands are full with county business. Their hands are full with all manner of other people involved in monkey business. Now they want to get into this elephant business. Are we dead cutting?
But who else would investigate this? If indeed now there was, you know what Jimmy Wanjagi has been calling for? An audit into this debt to find out whether there is odious debt.
You know, this is one of those situations where now a task force, you know, my thoughts on that particular subject are not a secret, but this is where the Auditor General, the DPP, and maybe ethics and anti-corruption could come in, but they can't do it alone. No. Because if you're talking money, you do need the Auditor General. This is something they've been doing, this is something they're accustomed to doing, something they understand, they know.
Maybe it's the wheels that are starting to move. Maybe this is the beginning of a long process. So it starts here. It starts here with the EACC saying, all right, so we are opening the books. And then it goes and gathers momentum, and others will then be roped in and joined at a certain point. Or maybe at some point then EACC will say, oh, you know what, we are actually petitioning for the establishment of a special team that will look into this, because we have found from our preliminary findings there's something that needs to be looked at more deeply, more intently.
Yes, that is a possibility. Or they could go on and then give the entire exercise a clean bill of health.
Yes, all our debt is ours.
Yes. These processes...
In fact, it's not 11, it's 15.
You guys thought you were complaining at 11. It's actually... I wonder whether it is because there are several questions that are being asked in terms of what's going on with Kenya's debt. I mean, before that, it was that there's so much debt and there's a payment of debt every year. The governor of the central bank, what did he say? when we get money from KRA, the first thing we do is pay debt every time. So the question is, how come we don't see a reduction in this debt? And does the EACC then need to wait as a recommendation from Parliament to then go ahead and start this? Or can they on their own cognizance say...
It's out on their own.
Yes.
We need to look into this thing.
They already have
that.
that. They already have a mandate.
Exactly.
They don't need
So
Parliament
for them to
tell
look, I mean, they didn't need to ask anybody to start investigating things where you see, okay, there might be something here. It could be a whistleblower who gave that information. But here it is in the public arena that there are too many question marks around this debt. And so I think the onus is upon them to then say, hang on, let's either give this thing a clean bill of health or let's turn this thing on its head and say, something is rotten.
Remember the statement that was made by the immediate former president regarding our loss of 2 billion shillings on a daily basis?
Yeah.
Well, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission actually came in and did their own little bit. And they said, it's not just 2. It's 2 and a bit more. Okay? Yes, they did. But then what? So, okay, you've told us we're losing 2 billion. You're supposed to tell us how we're losing it.
How are we losing it?
Then what happened? Because we were losing it. We're not utilizing it. It was going. Now.
And every day that you don't seal that hole, 2 billion is gone.
Exactly. And we haven't been told whether that has actually stopped. And it's over. Well, yes, it's well over
2
time.
billion a day.
Precisely. So now you tell me.
And then we're borrowing 2 trillion a year.
I can't deal with that number. It drives me nuts. 2 billion.
Yes.
How many billions do you need to get to 1 trillion?
1,000.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So in less than 6 months.
No, 2 billion times 365 is 730 billion a year.
So, okay, so we're saying essentially then, in 10 years.
In a year,
we
are doing 730 billion that's
loss
going.
Loss.
And the education budget is 600 and what billion?
40.
The devolution budget is 390 what billion?
Okay.
So 2, 3. And keep going on and on and on and on and on.
So you combine devolution plus kido education like this minus higher education, and we are stealing that. Stolen.
2 SGRs at Kenyan cost.
Imagine.
Our special costs per year.
You guys need to stop because you're making me
2
anxious.
SGRs per year.
So it means in 10 years, rather 5 years rather, 10 SGRs.
Imagine.
So if you do that math that we're talking about with regards to the education sector, that is money that will transform the country completely.
Yep, totally.
Completely. So now, that hasn't been settled, and yet they are the ones who came up with those figures. So they want to settle this one here, this one.
I laugh because
this one. Seriously, they want to settle this one. Well, by the time they came up with the figures, figures have to be attached to something. That's when they're figures. And if you're saying you're losing it, it means somewhere along the line it was supposed to head to a certain destination. It didn't quite get there. That's the meaning of getting lost. Right. Now, so, or are we saying that is part of this? This is different.
What?
Anyway, we will wait and see, won't we?
Aye.
But I'm afraid. I am truly afraid, because every time we've had a high-profile case in this country, somewhere along the line, this reason is found for that. Whoever is a finger's pointed at to be set free.
Oh yeah.
Yes, no.
That happens.
Yes.
It happens.
Evidentiary threshold was not met.
You then bring witnesses. Witnesses are there. Then we're not questioning our witnesses, whom we have brought.
We identified.
Yes, we identified them, but we're now not
prepared them.
But we're now not questioning them. And in fact, we are pulling us as deep. We are out of this case.
But City, that's a normal course of prosecution.
Really?
It follows that course.
Really?
For example, yesterday, the DPP went to court. There's been a case that the DPP has been prosecuting.
On what matter?
On a matter of 122 million shillings in a graft case regarding advertising. There's something called the Government Advertising Agency. Okay? So that is the one entity that buys media space for government across all platforms.
Yeah.
Now, some couple of years ago, a principal secretary and many other people were taken to court over this graft of 122.3 million shillings. Yesterday, the DPP went to court and said, You know, I've been charging these people. I want to withdraw charges against some 9 people. 13 people. 13 people. Former ICT Principal Secretary Sami Itemere.
But him is not prosecution away.
Him prosecution removed. 12 others acquitted. Milimani Chief Magistrate Lucas Onyina, Edith Nkanata, Amos Matanga, Gladys Bora, Gladys Mwanyika, Jessica Ateka, Rachel Wanjiro, Nelly H. Kibocha, Sami Makau, Martin Njoroge, Hannah Wangari, Edmundi Munene, and Victor Owino. Itemere and the two were left off the hook following an application by the DPP to have them released. Okay?
So they've been released?
Yeah, but the DPP said he has more charges against other people. And the charges are, in fact, he'll present additional charges against Kakamega Governor Ayub Savula's Deputy Governor Ayub Savula's wives, Melody Gatwiri and Helen Jepkorir. The three are out on 2 million shillings, a million bond, and 500,000 cash bail, respectively. Savula and his wives were listed in the case as directors of Sunday Publishers Limited, Melserve Company Limited, Jonestown Communications, Express Media Group, No Burns Protection Agencies Limited.
What? Sorry.
They were directors of all the companies that you mentioned.
No Burns Protections Agencies Limited, Cross Continents Ventures Limited, Shilledlock Limited, entities which are said to have irregularly received 122 million shillings. Also charged was Dennis Chebitwe, who at the time was heading the government advertising agency. The arrest and presentation in court of Savula and his co-accused followed a probe ordered by the then DPP Nuruddin Haji over an editorial published by one of the dailies, which the paper demanded action against GAA for failing to pay 2.5 billion shillings owed to various media houses. So you see, the DPP can bring all of you to court, start prosecution. Someone says, by the way, judge, let these ones go home.
I didn't really check my thing properly.
Let these ones go. Let's remain with these ones.
Did he even give reasons? Yes, no, these guys, forget it. Yes,
these ones, the way I've seen so far, already 13 prosecution witnesses have given their evidence and only 9 are remaining. So after bringing 13 prosecution witnesses, the DPP is like, how to feel these 13 guys? There's a way. I will not be able to sustain the case against them.
So much wind.
Watch our wind.
It's a trend, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so ethics, we're not going to wish you luck. We'll just see what you're going to do.
We wish you to do your job.
We'll wait and see.
Wait and see.
Yeah.
Tell us the story of Butterfly City. That is, you had started that story earlier.
I had started that story. I said that story on page 2.
Keep a pail in a...
Keep a wine.
Right.
Kipepeo kinapepea kwa upepo.
The thing about butterflies is
kinapopeperuka.
Yes. Yep. It is the myths and misconceptions attached to butterflies. For many people, it's a sign of
really?
It's bad omen.
Yes.
Butterflies.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
When there are many.
Some Kenyans believe, because I remember when we were leaving, I was leaving the other evening, last week. One of the watchmen was looking at me a little petrified and saying, there are all these butterflies. I hadn't seen any.
I'm sorry, I find that so funny.
So I paused and said, butterflies. I said, they're all over the place. They're many, and they're white.
Even worse, oh my God.
I said, okay. There's a species of butterfly called the monarch butterfly.
Beautiful butterfly.
It's a beautiful butterfly. Now, this gentleman thought that those were many. Man, those ones travel in huge,
swarms,
huge numbers. And they're migrating. That's all that's happening. They're moving from point A
to B.
When they land, it means they're eating. They've seen some nectar, they've seen something, but they're on their way somewhere. That's what they do. They move from one place where they found the weather inhospitable to a place where the weather is more hospitable.
Okay.
And in the process, they will lay more eggs and the cycle will begin all over again. Then at a certain point in time, next year, they'll migrate again.
So a warmer climate.
Yes, it's what they do. They move.
It's just like the locusts. It's just that butterflies are just lighter, and they don't
They're
they don't wreak as much havoc as the locusts.
But
They don't wreak as much havoc as locusts. No, they don't.
They don't wreak havoc at all.
No, they don't.
Just lights, fluttering about.
Yes.
They do that. But then during Cheke elders say,
oh God,
this is the sign of insects in January is a bad omen. Insects, January, bad omen. Julius Bogori, an elder who runs a Njuri traditional court at Nchiro in Tigania West in Meru, says things will not be good in terms of food production with the coming of the insects. When you see a lot of insects all over our vegetation, it means hunger will follow. It's advisable to plan for it. In the past, when we witnessed this, hunger always followed, and this will not be different unless there are measures taken. Jennifer Mutweri, a retired teacher, echoes Mbogori's sentiment, saying, in the past, the sighting of the insects brought famine, so residents should be worried. I cannot remember which seasons, but whenever they came, famine followed. However, during Cheke, Supreme Council of Ameru Elder Secretary General Josephat Murangiri believes butterflies in January is a sign of climate change. Hey, this one is during Cheke climate change, manenos. Traditionally, we don't see butterflies around this month. We normally see them in May, after the March to April rains. People should not be worried that hunger will follow. If there is sufficient vegetation, the butterflies mean there's plenty of food. Dr. Simon Geshoro, the chairperson of the elders in Murang'a County. Dr. Simon Geshoro, chairperson of the elders in Murang'a County, says the butterflies are announcing an impending disaster. In the past, they have led to hunger. Isaac Litali, an elder from the Butsoso community in Western Kenya, says January is always hot, but this year they've experienced a lot of rain. That's bringing the butterflies.
There are many explanations, but if you look at it, what do butterflies feed on? The nectar from flowers.
Yeah.
When you develop and you do the sort of thing that we keep doing, what you're doing is you are actually interfering with the natural habitat of these butterflies. Okay? So, one, they will not have food. They're going to start looking for food. That's number one. Number two, climate change is true. They thrive
in climate change.
Yes. So now the moment that changes, and this El Nino had done a thing, they are likely to move. Remember, the butterfly you're seeing didn't start as a butterfly. Okay?
Started as an egg.
It started as an egg, then pupa, then blah, blah,
Larva
blah.
first.
Yes,
that
yes,
maggot
yes.
that
Maggot.
Eric called it the other day.
maggot.
It's not a maggot, it's larva.
Larva is maggot is fully formed. It's not going to be a butterfly.
So this one is got
This
larva and then pupa.
Yes.
And then
butterfly. Then yeah.
And then the butterfly.
Yes.
And in 21 days it's dead.
14 actually.
In 14 days it's dead.
Yes, and by that time it has laid eggs. The process begins again.
Does it know it's going to die in 14
Yes,
days?
it does.
Because it should stop migrating. What are you moving to?
You're going to die. Come on. It's a circle of life. It's like asking the seahorse, do you know that when you deliver, you will die? Doesn't know, but it delivers anyway.
See, it should know.
It probably does, but you see, that's a cycle of life.
Okay.
Okay?
Or like the praying mantis. This is interesting.
The praying mantis,
praying
the one
mantis,
that does a thing and then dies.
No, it's eaten by the female. Every time it copulates,
it gets
beheaded by the female. So you ask yourself.
And then the head grows back.
No, it does.
No, it doesn't.
You're talking about every time like it's the same one.
No, as in, you would think that males, look at this guy, you would think that males by now know. If you copulate with this female praying mantis, you will die, my friend. You would think that they would say, how about we don't do this thing?
They do it secretly.
That secret we wouldn't know, would we?
You see, the baby, when it's sitting there, the girl has been told by its mother. The boy has not been told by its mother. So when they're just about to start, the girl is like, you know what's about to happen,
You know
right?
what's going down.
She says, yeah.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I do. No. I mean after. What do you mean?
Says, yeah.
I know.
Your dad didn't tell you? No, I never met my dad.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right.
Oh, man. I wish I could have.
So the butterflies are moving.
Yeah.
The moment their habitat is interfered with, believe me.
So how long should we give them in Nairobi They move away from Nairobi and they go to the next place.
It's moving. I mean, it's not as though they're stationary.
Are they moving southwardly?
The thing is, there are many.
southeasterly?
That's the thing you need to understand. They're actually very, very many.
Yes.
Yes. So you're wondering when are they coming to an end? They will come to an end.
It will. And it would be interesting because it will be able to coincide with as the weather changes as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Not to worry about.
Okay.
Okay, so let's look at this. The media industry regulator has sued the state and an entertainment joint in Kilimani, Nairobi, following the assault on journalists during a crackdown on shisha joints. The Media Council of Kenya wants the High Court to declare that security agencies ought to ensure better working conditions for journalists. At the same time, David Omoyo wants the court to find redress for the loss of property by journalists who were maimed by workers at the Kettle House Bar and Grill. According to Omoyo, despite journalists being messengers and key to the country's democracy by passing information to Kenyans, they are treated as a threat by the state, which pays little attention to their security. The council has sued Inspector General of Police, the Attorney General and Kettle House. MCK has listed journalists who were assaulted as interested parties. The council asserts that the order is seeking against the government cannot be granted. The council asserts that the order it is seeking against the government cannot be granted in the criminal case against 11 security guards who were charged before the magistrate's court. So they've gone ahead and say, in as much as there were police officers at the scene of crime who attempted to restore peace, they were ill prepared in terms of numbers and equipment to deal with the threat of reckless bouncers who violently descended upon them. And the MCK boss also said the government banned use of shisha on the 28th of December 2017. And following sustained crackdowns and routine inspection, shisha use had dropped until recently, where some joints had started selling it again. And it was during this time that journalists had gone to find out what was going on. And that's when the assault happened. And so they've taken the state to court. Protection for journalists is an issue that they're saying the state must take seriously.
You know, something puzzles me here. And maybe you can help me unravel it. Is this matter of the War Memorial Hospital in Nakuru? Police ordered to evict goons from War Memorial Hospital.
Goons
squad.
Okay.
Now, the order comes about after goons, as we are told, invaded the hospital. Remember, there was this matter of hospital staff were evicted.
Yeah.
They were brought back in.
Yeah.
This time around, goons came in.
Initially, it was Kanjo.
So can you explain this thing from the very beginning? What happened? Because first there was no story about Memorial Hospital, and then the next day there was a story.
Then Kanjo said,
Councillor Askaris
yes,
came in and evicted people.
From the hospital?
Yes.
As they were going about their business?
Yes.
Then?
It's alleged that they even switched off.
Yeah, because then somebody said to have passed because they switched off a machine or something.
Yes.
A dialysis machine.
They went on a rampage. Seriously. The matter went to court. Judge said, you know something? You, first of all, there's a police county police commander. It's called Samuel Ndanyi. He's in the eye of the storm here. This Samuel Ndanyi. Okay? So you tell police to take these people back so that they can work. Ndanyi wasn't complying. Okay? After a while, he complied. People were taken back to work.
The staff?
Members of staff at the hospital.
Okay.
No sooner had they been taken back, no sooner being the following day.
Did the patients go back?
They just mentioned staff.
Okay.
Goon squad arrived.
Raids the place.
And evicts
patients from the hospital.
Workers. Let me just read it for you. Nakuru County Police Commander Samuel Ndanyi has been ordered to evict goons who occupied Nakuru War Memorial Hospital last week. Environmental and Lands Court Judge Anthony Obayo issued the orders after the hospital, through its lawyers Lawrence Karanja, Chompa Kamau, made an oral application to have the police ordered to remove the armed group. On Thursday last week, an armed group of persons invaded the hospital immediately. It was handed over to the staff and taken over contrary to the orders of the court. Do you understand this?
No. I'm very confused right now.
The county government of Nakuru and the Attorney General have, however, distanced themselves from the armed group. What?
What's going on?
So there's an armed...
Who's asking for the eviction of folks from the hospital?
The court.
The court?
Yep.
On what ground?
That the
Goons,
hospital.
not hospital.
No, so okay, so who's said to have sent these goons to remove
the first time
Huh.
council askaris removed people. The people, okay? Then police were told to take these people back because they're being threatened.
Council was ordered out.
They were- Then, next thing you know, they're back at work. No sooner. The goon squad arrived and they say armed. So now the police commander is being told, please tell your people, because that's their job, to get these goons out of the hospital. And I'm asking the question, do you understand any of this drama?
What's happening?
How do you have a bunch of hooligans in a place evicting hospital workers, and somehow we're actually discussing this
and
matter?
they're being entertained. I don't
No,
understand.
we're actually discussing this thing.
Yeah.
There's a police force.
Even telling the police, please just go and and remove them.
What are we discussing exactly?
For heaven's sake.
There's something that is very, very fishy about this particular, and I think it's clear as daylight that there's a land grab
in force.
plot in force,
Yes.
right? And so who's interested in this particular facility? And why?
Yes.
There have been conversations around this particular land before. I saw an interview recently where Kimani, it was called Kimani who? The former Bahati MP. That one. Where he was saying that even he had proposed that this land, because you see, this land is huge, where the hospital is,
25 acres.
and then along
to that
the road,
there's a huge
empty ground.
Oh yes, huge.
You guys are
Use that as a helipad.
No, it's actually huge. It stares at you. You know, you're driving and you're seeing buildings, then all of a sudden you're seeing this greenery.
Yeah.
It's actually a very pleasant surprise to the eyes.
As you get into Nakuru.
Yes,
Right.
directly opposite the railway station.
Yeah. I
So
see
you've
it.
passed
I see it.
State House,
Yeah.
then there's this
Yes.
open field.
I see it.
And then there's a road that branches to the right, goes towards the hospital, the PGH.
Je vous. I
Yeah,
see, yes.
you see that?
Yes.
That empty piece of land there.
Yeah.
And for a long time, that land has been used as a helipad for State House.
So if you put one and one together,
So I saw Kimani saying, I came up with a proposal about this land. And I said, let's hive out apart, because everybody knows that this is a helipad for State House. We leave State House with the bit of it. Then the other one now.
Was you proposing flats?
Let's do it for publics. What. There's something that's going on here that is
Somebody wants that land.
like film trick in front of your face.
Somebody
I'm
wants
telling
that
you
land.
like this.
And the hospital is nestled on 25. They want that land.
Yep.
And they want it badly. And somehow,
forcefully,
the people who are supposed to ensure this law and order are doing nothing about it.
Yeah.
What on earth is this?
Aye.
It's nonsense.
Aye. It's further. It's crazy. The hospital directors and 3 land officials were charged. The directors, Simon Mwangi, Roger Jocelyn, and lands officials, Kip Kemboi, Marindich, Peter Nzoke, and Stephen Kihenjo had appeared in court for mention of their case. Why are they being charged?
Forget being charged. The court was told they're going to add more charges.
The hospital directors are being prosecuted.
Yes, there's a board of management, and these are the directors.
So what is the case against them?
That they falsified documents. I remember the case came up a couple of weeks ago.
They falsified documents of ownership of this land.
Title, yes. Meaning they said this thing. Someone is saying, what they're saying is the rightful ownership of this land is not. And the documents they have are forged. That's what is being alleged.
Why now?
They are the people who stand in the way of the people who want this land. Because they're the custodians and they know exactly what they're saying about. So what you do, trumped up charges, we take you to court.
Proper.
Yes, a proper shakedown.
This one is this one.
And the governor is quiet. The
Yeah.
police is quiet. Can anything get more bizarre?
Telling you, it's very strange.
This is a health facility for the people of Nakuru. Now, does this then mean that people are receiving health services? No.
No, they're not.
As we go to the top of the hour, Namibia has a new president in the shape of Nangolo Mbumba. Just hours after, as vice president, he had announced the death of his predecessor. Hage Geingob, who was 82, died early on Sunday. A veteran of the country's independence struggle, Geingob had been diagnosed with cancer. And this new president says, okay, you guys, I'm also older, so we are going to have an election just as expected. I am only going to serve the remainder of the term of Hage Geingob. I am not going to be on the ballot in the next election. So rest easy.
Don't worry.
I saw someone saying, we will only believe it after the election. I'm not going to be on the ballot. Me.
And then there's the ballot.
Yeah.
And then here I am
and then
on the ballot.
But you see now the people
They said I should.
have said, we are not prepared. We have to continue the legacy of Gengop. He had done a lot for this country. 7 a.m. news.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto left the country for a state visit to Japan, the first by a Kenyan head of state in 2 decades. According to a State House statement, the visit is expected to strengthen and rekindle bilateral relations between Kenya and Japan. The visit by Ruto follows Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's visit to Kenya in May 2023 and commemorates the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Ruto's official visit will be marked by intensive bilateral talks with Prime Minister Kishida, with a focus on economic cooperation in key sectors such as health, ICT, infrastructure, energy, and financial services. Several important memoranda of understanding are on the agenda, including defense cooperation, public partnership for road construction, and the expansion of the Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI laboratories. Now, ODM party leader Raila Odinga has urged governors to ensure there is clean water for Kenyans in their counties and further urged them to emulate Kisumu Governor Professor Nyong'o, who has ensured water scarcity is a thing of the past. Speaking during the opening ceremony of Kiwasco, which will be in charge of water distribution, Odinga has also urged the locals to embrace the initiative.
Investors can't put their money where there is neither order nor the planning, nor law. We may thrive in chaos for a while. In the long run, however, we lose. Today, businesses are migrating from Nairobi to Kajiado and Machakos because at some stage, Nairobi abandoned planning and embraced chaos.
Odinga further urged the Kisumu County government to continue working for the people and improve the look of the county through the Kisumu Geospatial Plan, saying aside from improving how Kisumu looks, it is creating employment. Kisumu Governor Professor Nyong'o has asked Kiwasco to serve Kisumu residents equally and without any bias.
But one thing I just want to bring to your attention, something that as a governor I really don't like, this idea of our attitude towards so-called informal settlements. Why are we calling these people informal settlements? And I think we should get that thing out of our mind. It is the inheritance we have of a city where poor people live in a certain area in housing, though done cheaply than ours. Their think houses are nonetheless. We must provide services to these people or those areas, just as we provide services elsewhere.
Immigration and Citizen Service PS Julius Bitok has said school principals will still be able to access fees paid by parents on the e-Citizen platform. Bitok said the e-Citizen payment platform is convenient and transparent, noting that the directive is meant to harmonize the collection of school fees and promote accountability. Education PS Bailey Kipsang announced the new school fees payment module last week, marking a departure from the old model where parents and guardians would pay school fees directly to various school accounts. And slain JKUAT student Rita Waini was laid rest at a parents' home in Makueni County. The family confirmed that Waini was buried in a private ceremony attended only by family members. Waini died last month in Roysambu, where her body was dismembered by her suspected killer. The Ministry of Gender, Culture, Arts and Heritage Cabinet Secretary Aisha Jumwa has stated that politicians elected in areas affected by FGM hinder efforts to eradicate the vice by not condemning it. Jumwa further said the politicians are afraid of losing their positions if they speak on the matter, unlike religious leaders who have been at the forefront of condemning FGM. And Britain has announced £100 million, approximately $125 million of new aid for millions of vulnerable people in Ethiopia, saying war, drought and crop failure had created a growing risk of humanitarian catastrophe. Authorities in the war-ravaged northern Tigray region have warned it is on the brink of famine. The conflict between federal government forces and Tigrayan rebels erupted in 2020, killing up to 500,000 people and displacing around 1 million. The war ended with a peace deal in November 2022, but clashes have since erupted in other parts of the country, notably in the Amhara region, whose forces supported federal troops during the war. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
And just like that, traffic starting to build up different parts of the city this morning. Are you coming off of North Airport Road? You're coming in from Cabanas. Then there's traffic going towards Outer Ring. Traffic means that we are slowing down a little bit because a lot of vehicles on the road. And so there's a bit of a hold up as you're touching on Outer Ring. Uhuru Highway is also getting its in ebbs and flows of traffic as you get out towards the CBD. On Gong Road today, it's also busy. Langata Road is starting to see some movement from that Uhuru Gardens junction with the southern bypass heading out towards the CBD. Let's take a look at the Thika Superhighway, where traffic has exploded over the last 30 minutes, and we're looking at traffic coming in from well beyond Tusker Village now, Garden City, out into the direction of Githurai. So we're looking at that build-up. Service lanes, use them, they'll help this morning. Limuru Road also busy as you're coming into the CBD, and it's getting heavier as you get to that junction of Wangari Maathai Way and then heading out towards Chiromo. We're not in traffic hour yet, but it looks like it's going to be a busy Tuesday. Let's keep our wits about and let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
How are you? Good morning and welcome to the second hour of The Situation Room. Hashtag The Situation Room, right? Asante sana for joining us on this Tuesday, the 6th day of February 2024, as we look forward to next week when love will be celebrated.
It's in the air.
Already.
Can you feel it?
I can feel it.
Now, the way to celebrate that is to come down to Saret, your city, on the 14th of February. Okay? There's the Love in Elegance cocktail dinner that's taking place. Elegance in Love, rather, cocktail dinner that's taking place on the 14th. And we want you to do certain things. Before you come to Saret, you will stand before your mirror and make sure that you're dressed in burgundy and gold. If you're coming alone, you will then go to ticketsasa.com and you will buy a ticket for 3,000 shillings. If you're coming with your regular special, you will now both of you pay 5,500 shillings from ticketsasa.com.
Okay.
And then you will come to Saret.
Regular?
Special. Couple. Regular couple.
Okay.
Now, if you are if you have decided that you are a VIP couple, you will still dress up in burgundy and gold, and then you will come down to Saret, your city. The dinner starts at 6 p.m. As you do those different things, there will be a welcome drink, there will be dinner, there will be a bottle on the table for the VIP folks, there will be live performances, there will be music. It will be fantastic. We will bring this love from the air to the ground and experience it full force. 14th of February, 6 p.m., Saret, your city. Love is in the air. Burgundy and gold. Let's go.
Hey, Bas. Now, let's talk about matters Nairobi. And we are joined by a member of the County Assembly of the Nairobi City County Government, Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa Ward. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Niko salama.
Umezoea kuitwa mheshimiwa sasa?
Yeah, I'm used to it, mwesh. I'm used to mwesh.
It's now the life.
No, I'm used to it now because you can never stop, guys. You know, there's a reason why people call you mwesh. Some are looking to honor and respect you. Some are looking for favors, various favors. They know that if they call you nothing but mwesh, then you might not be very receptive of their ideas. And kila mtu akona njia yake, kwa nini anakuita mwesh? But it's very funny, you know, because the name Mheshimiwa, in all this chaos of politics, on Saturday we were somewhere for a football match, and it was chaotic. You see, nobody recognized the Mheshimiwa unless you gave out the money, and if we didn't have enough money to give everybody, then it was Vita. But you know, that's the life you live in this city.
Why?
But you know, yeah?
Why?
You know, because of desperation. You know, when the people come, they feel entitled. Kwamba tulikuelect, sasa.
Chota.
But you know, it's because there's a breakdown between what you're supposed to do and actually, you know, the expectations of the citizens is just too much. And sometimes we might not be able to do what they expect us to do, which is to, you know, give them money at every instance. But still, it is a very nice affair. I think it's very hopeful. I think we can do a lot of things to change things.
With money.
Money has to be the center of everything.
Talk to EcoBank, they'll sort you out.
Yes,
EcoBank is a Pan-African bank.
Yes, it is. And imagine with presence in 35 African countries, employing over 14,000 people, EcoBank is coming into 2024 saying, let's have a situation where we can have a better you, a better me, a better Africa. And so imagine seamless transactions, making your financial stability actually worth your effort. And with 4 countries out of Africa with the presence, EcoBank is throwing its support behind the Africa Cup of Nations, which is into the semis tomorrow, where it's another coming together of Africans together to do a great thing. EcoBank, a better you, better me, better Africa.
Indeed. City, welcome Muhesh with the day's proverb.
Yes, Muhesh, this week our proverbs
come from
the Republic of Namibia. This was in honor of the passing away of their president, and we thought there's no fitting way to honor this great man, a leader on the continent, and a very great friend of this particular country called Kenya, than to have the Proverbs of the Week dedicated to his country. Okay? Darkness conceals the hippopotamus.
Darkness conceals.
Well, you know, there's a way, actually.
It consumes it.
Yes.
No, but you're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
Okay, conceal. Let's go with conceal.
Let's go with conceal, shall we?
Darkness conceals the hippo. Muhesh, what's your interpretation of this one?
I don't know how we should, interpret the hippo. I've not interacted with it so much, except along the River Nyando, where we,
they're no longer there, by the way.
They moved.
They are not.
Very few. Very, very few.
Very few.
And
there are even crocodiles in River Nyando.
Yeah.
But do you hear of any crocodiles these days?
Not much. In fact, I have not heard of them. Because they used to be killed and everybody fight for the meat of the hippos. And nowadays we don't hear much.
You get a few hippos once in a long while.
Get them off.
Yes.
I mean, would you stay if you are the hippo?
No, I would take off.
So darkness conceals that lacking danger. I think that one is the simplest interpretation I can give. Yeah, that there's that lacking danger in the dark, because hippos are also not very good during the day. They don't come out and also they operate in the very soft areas, I know, from the banks of River Nyando.
And it's very navigable.
And that is very fast. That animal is big and fast. It's very fast. People, they'll tell you that in a soft area, If it's hard ground, then it will not move very fast because of the soft,
it's
enough
underfoot.
The underfoot, yeah. But in soft area, it's very fast, and also in what? Very fast.
It will catch up with you.
And it's also very dangerous.
And it's very dangerous. And it has I think the teeth are very few, but very, it's like a scissors. They cut like a scissors. Yeah, so.
Okay. Which the first time we invited you, among the very first times we're inviting you here as an MCA, you were leading a campaign against noisy neighborhoods.
Noisy neighborhoods.
And in that time, you also mentioned the mushrooming apartments left, right, and center appear to be uncontrolled development, especially in your ward, Kileleshwa, and in the neighboring wards, Kilimani, Lavington, and the others. And you were saying, this is a big issue. Before we got, because that's what we want to discuss today, but before we get there, a big disaster happened in Embakasi recently. And, spotlight has been shown on disaster response, and the county government's preparedness for the city and all. Comment number one from you, from what happened on that day.
No, I think it's very unfortunate. I have a relationship with the Embakasi because that's where I started, actively participating in the community issues. That's where I was the chairman of Embakasi Estate. 5,000 housing units, close to 35,000 residents in one compound of 200 acres. But, when I was in that area, Skyline was just being built. And right next to Skyline, Skyline was being built inside the industrial area. And right next to Skyline, there were these small gas refilling stations, which I really, if you can check on my, Facebook and Twitter, you'll see I really opposed them. I said you cannot have this mixed use because it's very dangerous. And I was opposing the development of Skyline as a unit. And also the closest now was Maradi, Skyline, and Tuskys was there. Those are the places which are very populated. Now I even see Quickmart right next to the place there. And one of the reasons I opposed it is because of the waste. I was thinking basic. If it's industry, there are waste. And there is lacking danger in that we don't have a proper disaster management system in this city. So if anything was to happen, people would die. And I said, can we do something and can we oppose? And the OCPD, I was in the neck of the OCPD. And I can, stand here and appreciate the help I got from then Police IG, Boynet, who was a very good friend of Embakasi Estate. And he personally called the OCPD on my presence and said that, can you please help the gentleman, try to see ways, because I see the interest is not anything which cannot be done by us. Can we ensure that these people, if they want to build, they follow the proper law? It might not be him to do it. The MCA is there, then Michael Ogada, and the MP was then John Omondi. But can we ensure that it's done? And when the OCPD didn't even listen to the IG moved him to Marakwet, and another OCPD, and the thing stopped. No,
what stopped?
Increase of, because Skyline was building a lot of estate. So at some point they stopped building because there was a bit of a pushback from some of us. And the argument was, if anything was to happen, what mechanisms do you have to control it? And this is why I think they even opened the back gate. But it's very unfortunate what happened recently, and it's not only isolated to Embakasi, it's almost everywhere in Nairobi. We don't have proper disaster response preparedness. We don't have the mechanism to control. If even today the smallest of the buildings was burning, it will be very hard to control that. Even if we had somebody drowning, it will be very hard. Just recently, I think early last week, I think on Monday, we had a very unfortunate incident in the residential apartment compound where we stay. A 3-year-old child drowned in the pool. And you see, it was very painful for us parents because, the 3-year-old child who drowned was playing with my kids. So my kids felt like this was a brother. So if you are going to tell them that, so-and-so has died, they're traumatized. So it traumatized the whole apartment complex that how it happened. Then we started investigating and we realized that these people are living alone. They are from South Sudan. The eldest from the family where they were living was 19. So these were basically kids living with themselves, with the house girl. The kids were not getting good instructions from the house girl could not control them. You see, and also there are a lot of lapses in the estate management. You see, then we say that even basics, just disaster awareness. Just saying that please don't go, because the child died at 7:30 p.m. So the child was out very late, beyond the 6 p.m. Everybody should be inside. Also, the pool area should have been closed by 3 or 4 p.m. Also they should be, the watches should be. But basically, we are sitting dark, and this comes to the smart city call that Nairobi must get to a smart city. Level where everything can be monitored, the disaster response can be actually, the citizen can interact with the data they get. If there was a data leak there with a smart city, you'll have systems telling you that, warning that whole area that there's a possible gas leak in this area, and it's concentrated in this area. The disaster response led by the Nairobi fire would immediately activate and call in the police and even the army if the police doesn't have the capacity and the fire. But basically, the fire should be able to have the capacity to contain the basics of such a small disaster, because it was not a big thing. But it was big that people died.
It was big enough for life to be lost. That became a very big thing.
It became a very huge thing.
But I like the things you speak about and saying that we should do, or we should have in place by now for Nairobi, a city that's decades old, and also, certain things, there's certain processes that Nairobi has already gone through. What should it look like? And I think we keep asking that question. And I refuse to believe that it's for lack of resources that some of these things are not done.
And Nairobi is rich.
Whether we want to talk disaster management on its own, and I know that there are elements of a national involvement that take place here. But if we're looking at a capital city and certain things that should be put in place as insurance buffers just in case something happens, what is the state of the city right now? If things were to go belly up, essentially what are we saying? Nairobi would sink?
I think Nairobi would sink. I think Nairobi would really suffer. Even a small, I think 6 point something Richter scale tremor or earthquake would be very disastrous to this city, because we don't pay close attention to the basics of preparedness, and the preparedness starts with us, how we build things, how we get to approve structures, what kind of structures we approve. Even in the residential areas, do we give allowance for emergency services? If there was an ambulance today to come, even a place, let's say Kileleshwa, because we don't want to talk about areas where we think that it has degenerated so much. Let's say Kileleshwa and maybe Karen. Do you have spaces for ambulances to properly respond to emergencies? Let's say in a school, cooperative universities in Karen, there's so many Kilesha Primary School, that area. We don't have enough resources or infrastructure to allow emergency services. The digging of boreholes along Raptor Road, we have in a compound, I think is an half an acre, and they have dug 4 or 5 boreholes. They started with 150, they went to 180, 200. They're looking for water. There's not enough aquifers down here. But they're still digging different places in that same compound. So imagine if there would be a tremor in a place, let's say we have a place of 1 square kilometer, and you have 200 or 100 boreholes in that area. I believe, I'm not a geologist, but I believe there would be something.
Actually, let me lend credence what you're saying. There's a city called Jakarta. One of the things it's known for, it's where the seaside, is boreholes. And that city is sinking. Literally. Every year it sinks. Meaning, you give it enough time, it'll be submerged.
Attributed to the boreholes?
Yes, the boreholes have contributed significantly. It's a borehole city. Yes. So, what you've actually done, you've interfered with the structure of the soil.
Yes.
That holds all those things together. That very simply put from a layman's term. But, Mheshimiwa, do I hear you to be saying that the assembly who are mandated to oversight all these things has suddenly become helpless and toothless, and that they are unable to carry out their oversight functions?
I work from City Hall. Yeah, okay, I work from City Hall, and it's a City Hall for a reason, because everybody is there to cut deals.
Everybody
is there to cut deals.
All MCAs, permanent staff. You're one MCA.
You know, we are talking about planning. You know, we are talking about planning, and in planning, the CEC planning is one SG Mwangi. This SG Mwangi has been there for I don't know how many years.
There where?
In
City Hall.
In City Hall as a staff, then now as a CEC.
So he's experienced.
His experience.
A little more than experience.
A little more than experience.
Yes.
If today you
institutional memory.
If today you are if today you are to look for the asset register of Nairobi City County, you will not get. It is in the head of one person called SG Mwangi. If you to ask SG Mwangi today that there was a time last year we were looking for on this approval issue. If you are to ask how many buildings have been approved from the time we got into office, let's say just the period where we have been in office, you'll get close to 700. Kitambo, there used to be a register. If today Eric Latiff wanted to go to City Hall to know who approved this building and why, you'd get. But now you can't get. Because people are hiding that data. They know the process was wrong. You know, the various activities which were to precede the issuance of the approvals were not done. So it is being hidden completely. You cannot get that data. There used to be a register, in fact a black book, because it used to be manual. You'll go there and peruse and say that, okay, I'm looking for data about Kilaleshwa. You say it's approval number so and so. So let me just go to the register numbers. You'll get and say, this is the person who approved it. The committee sat in this period. It is not happening. This is under
Are you saying the register does not exist, or the register exists but is not publicly available?
The register does not exist. They don't put it in the register.
Okay.
They don't put it in the register. The approval is being done by a single individual. This individual is a very junior planning officer. You see? It's being done by a junior planning officer. There is a chief officer planning. Does not know how this approval is being
Are they authorized to approve this
person who is supposed to do the
this very junior planning officer who's now approving?
Yes.
Do they have the authority to approve?
No, they don't have the authority to approve. The person who is supposed to be doing the approvals, after all the considerations, after all the departments, lands has checked that everything, that land is owned by the private individual. I've checked the environmental team. I've checked that NEMA's boxes have been ticked. SAWA, you know, the roads and transport, I've checked that, you know, the road allowance, the 6 meters beacon, allowance, 3 meters outside and 3 meters inside have been allowed. Nobody ticks those boxes. So what they do is that mtu anaenda NEMA, ensures how they get the NEMA certificate. Nobody cares. Then they come to City Hall and get the approval. So and the person who is supposed to issue the final approval is supposed to be the CEC. You see? But because the CEC doesn't want his hand to be seen on this, they have delegated this activity to a very junior planning office.
And procedurally.
Unlawfully. And unfortunate to say, but with the express permission of State House.
State House?
State House?
Yes.
State House.
That's why you see.
Let's even start with the governor, who is above all of these people.
No, the governor, the governor is helpless on this. I can tell you for a fact.
What does that mean? I'm sorry. We're talking about the chief executive of the county.
Yeah.
And we are saying that this individual is helpless when it comes to the running of the county.
Yeah.
Essentially, what you're saying is that everybody is about the business of everything except running the county in the way in which it ought to run. And for some reason, this bypasses the eyes or the imagination of the person who's been elected to make sure all the things that are happening don't happen. I don't understand.
You know, Sakai is elected to take care of the affairs of Nairobi. But it's very unfortunate in the country of greed that I think State House has found a very clear way to blackmail the governor and hold our revenue, but also carry out planning approvals. Because this is what you are being told. that is the video size inatoka State House. And the last time you saw the Chinese developers station came from State House and went to Sakaja. They didn't come from Sakaja and went to State House. We saw their existence in State House.
First in State House and then here.
Then
back to City's question before we go to the break.
Yes.
Are you saying that the County Assembly of Nairobi, in which you belong, is helpless?
Is helpless. Because, we are the County Assembly.
What have you tried to do and failed?
We have tried to investigate. First, the many approvals and developments are happening in forwards. That's South Sea, Kilimani, Kileleshwa, and Parklands High Ridge. And of these forwards, none of the MCAs from the forwards is member of, by good practice, at least one or two of the MCAs in the most affected should be members of planning committee.
They're not.
They're not. And it's by design.
Whose design?
The design of the assembly.
Okay.
Because they want to enable the excesses of the executive.
But Muchme, do you know what you're saying?
Yeah.
That assembly is dominated by Azimio.
It's dominated by Azimio.
Yes. So you are saying that Azimio are aiding and abetting the executive. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
State House.
Yes. We are aiding and abetting
State House.
The mismanagement of Nairobi city by the UDA. This is a conflict I'm getting. We are fighting UDA. But in the Nairobi County Assembly, we are enabling UDA to mess the city. That is basically what I'm saying.
Eric, so we go for a break.
Okay.
Yes.
Haya. Mheshimiwa, kunywa maji. Keringet. Own your richness. As you talk about all this, Ednah is bringing you some Keringet, bottle of Keringet water, natural mineral water. When you say own your richness, so wacha na mambo ya borehole water. Okay?
I was there by the Keringet is very nice. In Molo.
You went there?
Yeah, I went there last week. Yeah, it's
I'm
very
telling
nice.
you that it's beautiful rock that gives us water from underground, filtered naturally, comes out, it has the natural minerals, and you consume it. And that's why Keringet is saying, own your richness. We'll be back shortly. Good morning. The MCA for Kileleshwa Ward in Nairobi, Robert Alai, is our guest.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
With politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with SpiceFM.
We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 16. 27 will be the high and lows of 14 in partly sunny Nakuru. And we'll see highs of 26 and lows of 12 in a sunny Nyeri. It's 14 and sunny in Eldoret with highs of 25 and lows of 12, while Mombasa is sunny at 27. We'll see highs of 33. In Malindi, we'll see highs of 33 as well. The sun is up at 28. And Kisumu is sunny at 20 with highs of 29, while Kakamega is sunny going to highs of 30 and lows of 16. Kampala this morning is sunny at 20 with highs of 29, while Dar es Salaam is sunny at 28 going to highs of 33. Johannesburg at 16 is sunny with highs of 32, while Mogadishu will see highs of 32 as well. It's currently sunny at 27. 12 degrees and partly sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 25. Lagos is hazy, as it will be for a while, at 22 going to highs of 35, while cloudy conditions in Kinshasa at 23 will see highs of 32.
spice up your life.
All right, we're stepping into traffic hour right about now, and it's busy wherever you look in the city. On the Thika Superhighway, it's getting closer and closer to the other end, as it were. Traffic is coming in from Kasarani out towards the Safari Park and then through to the CBD. It's heavy. There's traffic from Safari Park all the way to museums this morning, and it's inching slowly. It's a hold-up, and it's a major one today. We're also looking at traffic on Kiambu Road, literally looking at it because it's not moving. Getting towards Muthaiga Square, inching along, and then everybody joins everybody else who's under that tunnel. Also coming in from Limuru Road, they're all joining Wangari Maathai. So if you can use another route to get into the city, if that's where you're going, please think about it or leave later because you'll be stuck in this. There's traffic also on Wayaki Way. Going towards the city out from Westlands and James Gishuru. All of this, Mzima Springs, is also packed up as folks are trying to cross over into the CBD. And it's very heavy on the Eastern Bypass this morning, in and outbound traffic as you come out towards North Airport Road, inbound from Cabanas towards North Airport Road, and then touching on Outer Ring. Very, very busy as well. We're in traffic hour proper this morning. Let's talk. Tell us where you might be stuck or where you find a good route this morning. We'll share. SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Conversation with Robert Alai, who is saying many things this morning. He's the MCA for Kileleshwa Ward, saying basically that the County Assembly of Nairobi is helpless in controlling what's happening. There's a lot that's going on in Nairobi. There have been complaints that we had Cherotich say here last week, and she's been raising this issue of the uncontrolled development that's just mushrooming all over Nairobi, in Kilimani, in Kileleshwa, in, like you've said, those wards, South Sea, Parklands, High Ridge. We see that. We've seen that in Embakasi as well. We are seeing that across, and we're wondering, so how is this happening under the watch of the executive and the assembly in Nairobi? And you're saying it's all being orchestrated by greed.
By greed. It's the underlying enabler is the greed, because, even if you say somebody has the approval, what you'll find that the approval was not procedurally issued. The public participation is almost non-existent. If it's done, then people are hired from as far as at the river to go and sit in an approval process along Rafter Road. Somebody has been an expert. You'll find, because, I don't want to accuse only the Chinese developers. They are the Somali developers. You have the Kikuyus, the Luos, and everybody. We have very many developers there, and they're not limited to Chinese. You have Boranas and so on. The Chinese Developers Association, which you see existing, I can tell you for a fact that I asked them to register the association, because one thing which is happening with the development in Nairobi is developing very fast, and especially now the residential areas, but all public infrastructure is remaining in the very sorry state. The schools, the police stations, the churches, the community areas, you see. And I told them that if today a Kenyan meets a Chinese along the road walking, how do they perceive that Chinese? What do they see? They see somebody who is out there, maybe a forklift driver. They don't see the soft power of the Chinese. The soft side of Chinese. They see the rough side. Engineers moving at movings, but they don't see their soft side, the human touch, where they have been able to pay hospital bills, bursaries. They have been able to build a school, a classroom, 1 or 2. You see, and this is why I told them that if you are going to do this in Kileleshwa, and I can tell you for a fact that the best governor, we have had 5 governors in Nairobi. The governor who did this best is Evans Kidero. He said that he is the one who created this mess. But one aspect of that mess he created, and he did it very well, is CSR. He said that if you are going to do this development, but you are going to do for me CSR. So you'll find schools like Karibangi North Primary School, built from scratch. But he just gave them land. Told, I want you to build that from scratch.
Who?
Evans Kidero.
Who built the school?
One of the developers.
So you can do whatever you want on this side, but just build.
It is not doing whatever you want. Imagine this bill, because some of them are doing projects a simple apartment complex, you can see it's simple. But if it's 400, 500, it's close to 3 billion shillings. If you're going to spend 3 billion, can I give you a project worth 30 million to do for CSR? And the developer would not see a problem in that. That's the argument he was putting. Can I put 0.5? He put, I think, a percentage, 0.5 or 1%, of the cost of your development. If one developer is not able to do it himself, then let's do. If you're going to, have you gone to Upper Hill High School? Upper Hill is the most affluent part of corporate, space in Nairobi. But go to Upper Hill High School. Can't the corporate around that place, just collect even 1 million shillings each? You see? And go and develop that. Just build a laboratory or a dormitory in that school. Because that school is congested, is the state in those dorms and classrooms very sorry. But it's the most affluent part of Nairobi.
Mheshimiwa, what I hear you saying, please correct me if I'm wrong, is essentially, so look, there have been complaints that we see all of these developments coming up around the city that could essentially go against what a building code that had been set by the same city just a few years ago, right? But what you're saying is, these folks can come in essentially, number one, they're going against what the building code is. For developments around, if we say it's a 4 to 5 development and we have now, 18 stories, etc. But we're essentially saying you can go ahead and do that so long as you then come on this other side and develop another side of the city that is in one.
Not so long as CSR used to be an aspect of business licenses in this country. When did it stop? If you are to approve anything, the government used to ask you, what are you doing as CSR? So that's why Safaricom set up Safaricom Foundation. They didn't set up that it was an aspect of business licensing. You see, KCB Foundation, all the corporates you see listed and having good practices, even Standard as a foundation, they're doing, which is very active. But this whole expressway was built at a cost of how much?
Too much.
Then, this expressway, have you seen even an office of the assistant chief they have built anywhere? Why is that CSR missing?
Also,
the railway from Mombasa to Kisumu built schools, churches, administration blocks along the way when it was being built. It is not so as to enable you. There's just that, you see, you are doing this. But tell me what we have been doing to the community.
What are you saying, Robert? That we license?
Not that. No, let me tell you. Not as long as we get.
Because you've gone ahead to say that in the administration of Evans Kidero, a lot of this mess started.
He's the one who created the whole mess.
Procedural licensing of the approval of all these
high-rise developments.
But then you're saying, but then at least.
No, yes.
There was a development of a school.
No, he did an aspect of CSR. I think he realized. He says that you are going to approve. Let's. I don't know which is the tallest. There's a.
Why are you going to approve? Should we not be starting there?
You have approved them.
Yeah, but
these things you have approved.
Should we not be starting there?
Yes.
That we should not be approving them.
Let me ask you today. You have approved them, and they are existing there. They are standing. For me as a leader first, I ask, because I represent the people, I ask first, this approval which was done, it was done under which process? It's illegal, yes.
Okay.
You go and tell the governor, what are you going to do? Say, no, we are not going to approve more. Even when they're still approving, they're saying they're not going to do approve. But this one which is existing, let's say you're not going to approve more, it is existing. So it's existing, you allow it to exist, yes. But in this business licensing, there should be an aspect of CSR. Where was CSR which was done by this developer?
Okay. Mheshimiwa, you know what I hear you to be saying?
Yes.
That we have actually not just allowed, we have normalized bribery.
Yes.
We're calling it CSR.
Yes.
We have normalized wrongdoing so long as you pay penance in the form of a CSR.
Yeah.
Yet why it is wrongdoing, the ordinances that guard developments in a place like a city are supposed to be there for posterity. Now, what we've done, we've damned posterity.
Yes.
Because if I were to ask, the open areas that were supposed to be in Kilelesho, how many of them actually even exist?
None.
Precisely. Grounds and land that were attached to schools, even the playground, many of them have been taken up. I am simply saying, we are sacrificing at the altar of convenience, literally, the future of the city. The CSR bit, I can understand. When you're in a situation where everything is going wrong, you're saying, let there be a little help from people. But the real help isn't the CSR. The real help is to ensure that there's something for them to inherit. You see, we had something to inherit. Now, we are saying that the generation coming after us will have nothing.
Yes.
Because no space whatsoever. You can't have a city that has space. Now, you know what will happen? Somebody will come along and he'll look at these ordinances and he'll decide, I think we're going to have to bring down some buildings because we do need an open area here.
Yeah.
If you recall, in the Moi era, this madness was there when they wanted to take Uhuru back. Remember?
In fact, Moi started it all.
When
they I can tell you pieces of land which are supposed to be schools if you go to the master planning, if you go to Survey of Kenya. But because somebody built for Moi a tall tower in the city, they were given that piece of land.
I remember in those days, schools didn't have titles. It was it was government land.
Yes.
So one could simply just say, this is government land and can I be allocated? It could be allocated. I am aware because I taught in a school where somebody wanted to take the playground of the girls. I was and I remember a smart headmistress, she's now passed away, led the girls to march to the provincial headquarters. That is what put a halt. Now we are saying that we will give away the playgrounds, we will give away certain social amenities, so long as they help us build a school somewhere. And I'm saying, why don't they just do what they're supposed to do?
I think you're not understanding this argument. My argument is very simple.
Oh, I've understood it perfectly.
Yeah. I don't think.
But I've actually understood
your put so long as is not there, and that's why I say you have not understood it.
Okay, explain to me why I haven't understood it.
Today, even let's not deal with the developers. Today, you are going to license City Muga to be doing business A.
Yes.
And City Muga forms part of the wealthy part of the society.
Yes.
He has some 1 billion to spend.
Yes.
Where is the CSR? Even if City Muga meets all the conditions, where is the CSR?
So I think what you're saying, Robert, so what you're saying essentially is, I think there are two issues here.
Yes.
We are combining the issues where we shouldn't be.
Yes.
You're saying that anybody who comes in and is doing any kind of commercial business in terms of development, there should be a CSR aspect.
Yes, there must be.
You're not saying hopefully, you're hopefully not saying that if somebody comes in and they go against codes, that we're essentially sanitizing their bad behavior by asking them to then build a school here or open green spaces. So you're not combining the two.
If I was to combine the two, I would not even appear in this radio station.
Right. I would have been a bit worried about that.
Because I think Kenyans forgot and think that as long as you have the money and you want to operate a business, then you can do a business without ever giving some return to the society.
Okay.
And this is how you do. You bridge the wealth gap.
Can we put the CSR aside for a minute? Because I do agree that it is extremely important to do that.
Yeah.
But here we are looking at a situation where everything seems to have gone to blazes.
Yes.
And that approvals are being given for anybody to come and do whatever they want, so long as somebody
and a good number, I think half of them
has
are
been
building
put in
without
the
approval.
pocket. You yourself have admitted, has admitted that City Hall is just one huge commercial bribery enterprise.
It's
coven for chaos.
Yes.
But I think the highlight here needs to be on that. That we have a city that's essentially going to the dogs, and there's an assembly in place.
Yes, there's an assembly, but there are people.
There are members of parliament within Nairobi, the city. There is a governor who you've said this morning that things have gone over his head. And then there, collectively.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. That how can we repurpose the focus to be that this city ought to be running in a way. There's a reason why there's a code. There's a reason why there are requirements and standards. But we're essentially saying that those standards and those requirements are not being followed. They're not being met. And it's okay.
No.
Why are people there in those positions where they should be doing certain things not being held to account?
Yeah, because
why?
If you had to ask me, and you saw when Embakasi happened, I said that if we are to start arresting people, start by arresting the head of compliance and enforcement at City Hall. The CEC in charge of the docket should be going, the chief officer in charge of the docket, before you get even to the energy, now the sector. Because all these plans, even a kiosk here, is an aspect of planning. Where is the planning people at the City Hall in this? Why are they not being arrested? I've seen DCI has posted whoever they are looking for.
Yeah.
They are NEMA officials. You are looking for people from NEPRA. You are looking for employees, watchmen you have arrested there. But where are the people who are supposed to be ensuring that this city is well planned? If scenario happened, is there anybody from City Hall who was arrested? Anybody from City Hall? You know, that's what I want to hear, because this planning is a delegated duty. So why is it that we are starting with the ministry or the sector, but you are not starting with the approval, the planner who approved this? If today a building collapses, you are going for NCA
and the developer.
But you are not going for an official of Nairobi City County
Who gave
the approval, because this is the weakest link. If today, let me tell you, you just go in front of the Standard here and set up a kiosk, you will not last 2 hours. Those guys will rain on you, and the people will rain on you at Nairobi City County. You see, why are we missing them?
Forgetting that they ought to have been there
They have an eye. There's a sub-county admin who is very powerful there. There's a ward admin there. Those people are the enforcement team to hata saizi ujitokeze too. You know, there's one of the simplest thing you can do. You can leave your house with flyers. You are a hustler. You said you want to start distributing flyers around the roundabout. Those kanjos will rain on you thoroughly. You will ask yourself, who made them aware of my existence in the short period of time? You see, but somebody is operating an illegal LPG refilling facility along next to a very high. Then you tell me that, you know, these people, it is not their duty or somebody. No,
so Robert, there is a planning committee in the county assembly in Nairobi.
Yes,
right?
which is supposed to be oversighting.
It should be oversighting this function.
Yes.
Has it failed?
It has failed in a great way. That planning committee is just to.
Has the plenary of the county assembly sought answers from this committee?
Yes. Yeah. You know, I think, because you know we are going back over Embakasi.
Not on Embakasi.
Over this we have.
There have been very many issues about planning. That's just like you've said. Very many issues about planning that you have raised.
Yes.
Has this matter been raised on the floor of the county assembly? Has a question been asked to the planning committee? Has it failed to satisfactorily answer that question?
Yes.
And has the assembly then discussed the failure of this committee, of its own committee? Before we even go, just like you were saying, before we go to the ministry,
among the committees of the national, the county assembly, I think 21 or so, the sectoral committees. We have select and sectoral. As the sectoral committees, I think planning has the highest number of questions asked. From me personally, I think I've asked around 30 questions in that floor of the assembly. Only one has been answered since September 2022. Only one. They never call you. Anytime you give them a question, they go and use that question as a reason now to go out and look for the people who are offending. You see, a building is existing next to Arboretum. There's a building there, very narrow, almost existing, I think, in a piece of land which is 5 meters by 10 meters. It's very narrow. You know, there's a minimum size of land which can be titled. You cannot title any piece of land. That even hata ni sehemu unaweza kuweka chair, you can title. But this place is so small, but you find, and it's on riparian land. There's not even allowance for riparian land for 30 meters. Now you found they have built a structure there. I ask myself, that we removed a police petrol station here. They went to court and won. But this one now is built right on the river. Who allowed it? And because the person was a classmate, the person who is doing the thing was a classmate of the chief officer planning. Every time the planning committee goes around and just collects money from the offending individual.
So who should we, as the residents of Nairobi, who should the voters of Nairobi hold accountable for all this mess?
I think we need to hold the MCAs accountable, and we need to hold the governor accountable, because what is happening is evil. It will affect, the ecosystem. Like now, if I tell you that small building there, it will affect the ecosystem of Arboretum as a habitat for birds, and all that flora and fauna is there. Security for state house. Now I don't know, but when you go to planning, they tell you the Nairobi River behind that place was downgraded to a stream, so somebody can build an mpaka on top of the river, because in a planning somebody went behind your back and procedurally and downgraded that thing into a stream. So they say it's in a stream. I say, but it's a river. No, this is a stream. So according to our document, we can build up to inside of it.
Mheshimiwa, I am still stuck on that matter of the CSR, and I'll tell you why. Yeah. Some of the entities that we see putting CSR into practice are some of the embassies we have.
Yeah.
You'll find that their governments, through the agencies attached to that government, provide development aid. But as part of CSR, the other things that they do, they contribute to this, they contribute to this. But it is usually things that the citizenry actually want, and something they need, and something that has been wanting for a while. Now, that the Chinese contractors listen to you and form themselves into association is a wonderful thing. Now, instead of build this, since they have plans of what they want to do, is it possible to structure this CSR so that it meets the actual needs? Not just build a school and build a church and build a mosque. And no. Things that people will tell you we need. For instance, Kileleshwa. Again, where's the open space in Kileleshwa? A place where I can actually go and sit and do nothing. But land was there for it, because if there was land for schools and land for all these things, there was land for it.
There was land.
So what's your CSR angle to it?
My CSR angle is very simply this. If the CSR is to be useful, first of all, it has to be something that is not just one-off. It has to be part of the bigger plan, because these guys also have a big plan of what it is they want to do.
Which guys?
The developers. Yeah, they don't just want to build one unit. They have an idea of what it is that they want to do. So, is the CSR in tandem with that planning, so that even you have a large-scale idea of what it is that you'd like to see done?
I think you people never let me explain why I really asked the Chinese to form an association. CSR was just one aspect of it, but also the fact that all this development, all the fight we're putting for, they think that we are fighting them. We are even fighting for them, because there used to be an approval. They allowed in Zone 4, which is Kilimani and Kileleshwa existing in, allowed is 1 story ground plus 3. So it's supposed to be 4
in Kileleshwa.
In Kileleshwa, ground plus 3, and Kilimani. So ground plus 3. So in that ground, in that ground plus 3, now Kidero went to 5, then went to 7, then went to 12. You see? So imagine Eric Latiff bought a penthouse on the 12th floor to have a proper view, living with the family in Nairobi. But now, and you bought it at very expensive rate, maybe 45 or 50 million. But now somebody has built next to you, the Makwi in along Othaya Road, 30 floors. You cannot see the sun.
Imagine.
This property yako, which you bought at 45, somebody is giving you a value of 28 million.
Yeah.
You see? So even them, their development is losing value. A one-bedroom house used to cost 8-9 million.
Is this association telling all their members, let's not go beyond
I tell
ground
them,
plus
can
4?
they also...
Or is the association just allowing them to do ground plus 20?
No, I'm telling you, in the association, I'm asking them that you people, can you agree that now you have bribed the city hall people and they're allowing you to do everything. But because every new development is cannibalizing the older ones, can you agree to say that in this area we won't go beyond this? Because us...
My God in heaven.
Sawa.
No.
Time
no.
measure.
No.
Time measure. Sawa. Mr. Hyena, can you at least agree to only eat one leg? Don't eat the whole thing.
Yes.
Now that you have leave the head.
And we trust that you will do that even after we've gone.
Robert Alai, MCA Kileleshwa,
Yes.
come again. This conversation must continue. Come again soon. It's 8 a.m.
Asante sana.
Time for the news. Good morning.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newsroom Dennis Aseto. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has promised to look into how the country's debt has risen to 11.1 trillion shillings, with the current government incurring a debt of 2.4 trillion shillings since taking office. The commission stated that some of the projects that benefited from the funds were on its radar. This came as the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee backed calls to investigate how the funds were spent. This was revealed during a meeting between EACC senior officers and members of the Parliamentary Committee at Sawela Lodge in Naivasha. According to EACC chairperson Bishop David Aginde, the commission was looking into past and current projects in the country to see how the funds are used. The Council of Governors now want the national government to take care of salaries of medical practitioners proceeding for study leave. Chair of the Health Committee, Tarakanite Governor Muthomi Njuki, says that these salaries are a huge expenditure for the county governments as they are forced to employ new staff while also paying the doctors on study leave.
For the counties to replace these doctors, even if it's on temporary basis, by hiring doctors on short-term basis who can be able to replace them. The arrangement we have at the moment to your county and serve for some time, but surely human health cannot wait for these doctors to come back because life is continuous, and therefore while they're away, we need to take care of the patient, and therefore we need to hire patients. Those resources are not realized because we are paying for doctors who are away.
3 more suspects in the murder of Meru blogger Daniel Muthiani, also known as Sniper, were arraigned before the Kiambu law courts. The trio, Christos Manyara Kiambi, Brian Mwenda, and Boniface Gethinji Njia, were charged with the murder in violation of Section 203, read with Section 204 of the Penal Code, Cap 63. The arraignment occurred after a mental evaluation determined that they were all competent to stand trial. The arraignment brings the total number of suspects charged with Sniper's murder to 5. Last week, the 2 suspects, Vincent Murithi Kirimi and Kenneth Murangiri Gwantai, were charged with the murder in Kiambu Court. Now 700 students will miss out on bursaries provided by Lamu County government as they failed to attain the grade C plane in the previous exam, while issuing 20 million shillings bursaries to 17 schools to facilitate the education of Form 2 to Form 4 learners. Lamu Governor Issa Timami said underperforming students will be reconsidered when they improve. Timami noted that the decision is to ensure that the county funds are put to good use and also increase the number of students who get admitted to university in the county. The Deputy Governor, Raphael Munyua, said they have a huge shortage of skilled workers in the county. Now, a section of Darfur Settlement Welfare Scheme situated in Embakasi have moved to court seeking to have National Land Commission and Kenya Railways Corporation barred from authorizing and or paying any compensation to the scheme. They went to the court to order the officials of the scheme to provide how 2 billion shillings was utilized. It is the argument that they relocated from the suit property on the promises they would receive the balance of the purchase price. And Migori County has confirmed a cholera outbreak after the nearby country of Tanzania reported its first case in Tarime area a month ago. Deputy Governor Gemonta Mahiri said tests turned positive for the deadly disease. He said about a week ago, the county was on high alert when a suspected case of cholera was reported after a resident from Bugumbe village had crossed over to the Bunda area in Tanzania for a funeral. He showed cholera symptoms while across the border, where he was treated, and the symptoms of diarrhea and vomiting started again when he was in Kenya. County Health Services Executive Awori Nyerere said they are on high alert as they have put in place community health volunteers, ward admins, village elders, chiefs and their assistants to help in reporting cases and tracing contacts. The two said the department undertook an audit of human resources where they sent home 95 casual workers to rationalize the workforce of optimum delivery in healthcare. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is
102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
Okay, a few minutes after 8 o'clock, and there's still traffic in most parts of the city today as you're trying to get in and out of the CBD. If you're coming off a Thika Superhighway, heavy with traffic. It's reduced a little bit, but we're still looking at it past the Outer Ring Junction, and it's coming in heavy from Kasarani through to the city. Heavy traffic on Kiambu Road today, well past the DCI. We're at Karura Forest Gate C now with that traffic. It's trying to get out towards Muthiga Square. On Limuru Road as well, traffic is heavy. Parklands going into everywhere. Heavy traffic. Ring Road Westlands coming out towards Globe Cinema Overpass, and that's coming in from Moranga Road. So that's heavy. We're also looking at State House Road traffic, trying to join with Arboretum. Everybody's looking for a way out into the city. So you're going to have to sit tight until this opens up a little bit as we get closer to the end of this. Also coming off of Lavington, we're looking at Oloitoktok, James Gishuru out towards Waiakiwe. The Red Hill Link Road will give you some reprieve as if you're trying to get roundabout towards Lower Kabete, so think about using that. Gong Road is also busy, as is Langata Road. Everywhere you look today, you'll find some traffic. Let's talk on SpiceFM KE on X. If you find a good route, hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
After 8, how are you doing? Welcome to the third hour of The Situation Room. Remember, our hashtag is The Situation Room. I'd like you to tag us on all the conversations so everybody else can see what we are discussing every weekday morning. Valentine is coming, Ndu.
Yes, it is.
Tell the government spokesman, Dr. Isaac Mwaura, who's our next guest.
Do you know what you'll be
Valentine.
doing on the 14th of February? Mweshimiwa?
I think I will be attending a parents' meeting for my son.
Okay, after that, let me tell you what you'll be doing.
Yes.
So once you're done with school, now you can now let everything down at Tharitio City. It's on the 14th of February, as I said. So we all know in school, we'll be in school in the morning. In the evening, we'll be going to Tharitio City.
Where is this?
Sarit Center.
Okay, so
You know
what's
where-
happening there?
Now, let me tell you. It's the Elegance in Love cocktail dinner, right?
Okay.
You do know that 14th of February is Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
People are in love, others who pretend to be, it doesn't matter. We are going to celebrate by having this dinner. Now, if you go alone, which I don't think you will be doing, but anyway, anybody who goes alone, you pay 3,000 shillings. That's a regular single. If you go with somebody, it will be a regular couple. And you pay 5,500 shillings. If you go as a VIP couple, you pay 10,000 shillings. And then I need you see, like this suit that you have is beautiful.
Well, thank
Now,
you.
if you have one that's in burgundy and gold, spectacular, and you show up at dinner, it would be great. There's food, there's dancing, it's a spicy evening. It's a great way to celebrate love on this wonderful Valentine's Day. So, ticketsasa.com, that's where you buy your tickets. We go, we have fun. And then on Thursday, we wake up and go to work. But that day,
It's a day and night of love. All right, Mweshimiwa.
That's a good tip off. Sometimes men have no clue.
now we have clued you in. See now.
We've been sorted, my friend.
Isn't it? And we even know that we know how much we are going to spend.
We know how much.
Well, at least
we
for the
have a
dinner, you know what
budget.
you're going to spend.
We know the
Those
budget.
other things.
Now the problem will be kuitishwa hii burgundy.
Suit na gold hiyo.
Burgundy.
Tushoneshe mapema. Ile ni tarehe 6, it can't be ready.
It's very possible.
You have some time. Think about it early. How are you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's been long, but I'm happy.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a time I was supposed to come. Ednah looked for me, but then I couldn't make it. I think I became too busy. Yeah.
Well, Karibu-san, Ednah is saying things into my ear. I can't hear what she's saying. But I think I'm a Sama Karibu. City has the day's proverb. This week, the proverbs are from the Republic of Namibia.
Yes.
And is there courtesy of EcoBank, which is the Pan-African Bank. Ndu.
Yes.
The Pan-African Bank is in Africa. How many African countries?
35 African countries. Imagine one bank spread across 35 different countries. That means that transactions are seamless. You don't have to worry that, my bank is headquartered in Nairobi and I am currently in Bamako. No, we don't worry about that because EcoBank has got you covered. And we're saying, how about we look at banking in a different way, whereby we're able to bring everybody together regardless of where you are. And because of that same concept, EcoBank has then been able to throw their support behind the Africa Cup of Nations that's currently going on. And we're getting into semi-finals tomorrow. Mweshimiwa, who is the team that, according to you, will win? Please make sure you say the right answer.
But you don't even know. I don't even have any clue who is playing.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to have a meeting
You
later.
and I in the same WhatsApp group. But I do know Nigeria is in the semi-finals because the Nigerian representative of the Situation Room has already informed us.
Okay.
Now, going by that, then we say Nigeria.
Do you see why it's fantastic? You've gotten the assignment.
So
and I'm
Nigeria
very
is
happy.
winning.
Thank you.
Okay.
EcoBank has thrown their support behind AFCON and we're really looking at the idea of having a better bank, a better you, a better Africa.
City, the proverb.
Yes, the proverb. Darkness conceals the hippopotamus.
Darkness conceals the hippopotamus.
The hippo.
Isaac, what's your interpretation of this?
First and foremost, I need to give condolences to the people of Namibia because of the loss of their president. I was there in November last year. It's a beautiful country, very public people, very independent people. It's actually a desert, really, Kalahari. Went all the way from Vanduk, which is like really in between mountains, all the way to Swakopmund. It's a beautiful, and Wavis Bay. It's a really nice place. I also met the first lady of the country here as well.
Mm.
Well, I think when it is at night, City, do you want me to say what I think about this? And do is here. Men don't see at night. In the darkness, you could be dealing with a hippo. So things are shrouded in mystery in darkness. Yeah, you can't quite figure them out.
Okay.
That's what, yeah.
Darkness brings mystery. We have very many things to discuss with you as the government spokesman. And I want us to start on the issue of Mradi and Embakasi. What happened there, the blasts, and as you can see in the headline in the paper today, right? It says, anger as hundreds stare death in the face. Right? The blast that happened there, a number of deaths so far reported. Many people injured, the disaster response, the response that we've now seen again from the government in terms of the various agencies concerned, NEMA, IPRA, the county government of Nairobi. But where are the gaps, Isaac?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think it's good to say from the word go, the government extends its condolences, gives its condolences to the 6 confirmed persons who have been passed on for 4 at KNH and 2 in other hospitals, and also the fact that over 280 people really were taken to various hospitals, and 761 families were affected. As at yesterday, 28 families had been displaced, but they have since left the social hall because we were given some money to go and pay rent elsewhere. Some 62 small businesses, the Mombasa businesses, were destroyed or razed down. So it's really, really pathetic. Going to the hospitals and seeing the most affected being referred to KU referral and also KNH, I would want to tell you, Eric, it's quite sad because some of the scars have disfigured their bodies, and Ndu is here. For men, maybe not, and I think maybe as well, we all are the same, but maybe it would affect women more, the way they now will look like going forward. Because of the stigma around scars, it's terrible. It's terrible, and the challenge of this inferno is the fact that people are inhaling gas, so they could also get internal damages. Then the other thing is the issue of the fact that we anticipate by now there will be many who will be going back because of the kidney issues. Because the skin, helps to discharge waste. It's 20% of the body, of course, with the help of the kidney as well. So those are the challenges. Of course, the whole issue is unacceptable because this Maxis company had applied for a license. IPRA had refused to give them licenses, but you can see NEMA was compromised, and the 4 people have been named who, of course, are culpable. And then eventually, this is the result of it. Of course, it was an illegal gas filling plant. I could see the lawyer of the so-called suspect who has already, showed up, trying to create doubt, that it's the lorry that was, whatever, offloading the gas was trespassing. That's not the case. I mean, when you go there, you find a lot of huge trailers full of these cylinder tanks. That then, of course, are used to transport this gas. And it's really, really unfortunate that at this time and age, you could have this sheer greed by individuals to really circumvent justice. As a government spokesman, I will not, be on this national radio and pretend that everything was working well. No. There was a lapse. There was a lax, of course, issues of corruption and compromise around the officials who should have actually done proper oversight against this, this illegal gas filling plant in the middle of a residential area.
Okay. Yeah. I think it lends, just that lends to the deeper conversation here, that in terms of what the position is when it comes to disaster management in the country, but on the other hand, when it comes to these processes whereby approvals are given by government entities for things that shouldn't be. And so what is the check? What is the oversight? What is the security that Kenyans are being assured of that these things, because if there is one, there could be 100. What is the security or guarantee that there is a hands-on approach to making sure that things like this do not occur? Because the truth of the matter is, had this explosion not happened on Thursday, the thing would still continue. It would still be there.
Yep.
And still be running illegally.
I think the whole issue is for Kenyans now to take this opportunity to say where this is happening, because there's a special focus based on this tragedy. Sometimes government is spread too thinly because there are competing priorities. And unfortunately, because of this incident, then there's a special focus on what such plans can do. So it's good the Kenyans to report to IPRA, to the local authorities, so that they are mapped out and action is taken now to avert that crisis. And I think I've seen some petition from a certain area here in Nairobi of the same. We want to see more of this. Let's not keep quiet, because it looks very far-fetched, so that then government can have reason to act. Yeah.
Let me ask you, you're saying the government is spread too thin. Well, the government is spread across the country. The government starts from Nyumba Kumi to a village headman, to a sub-chief, to a chief, going all the way up. And even at county level, you have other people. Then you have the enforcement agencies with their officers all the way to the ground. When you say that now is a time for citizens to tell the government, I fail to understand what you exactly mean, Bwana Spokesman.
What I mean
are you saying that the structures of government have failed?
No. What I mean is that there are so many things that government is supposed to be doing at any given point in time. Yes. And there are too many actors. The people who are employed by government, for example, Eric, who earn a salary from government in the public service over 900,000, I think 903,000. 77,000 who are the typical civil servants. The rest are in the public service, including teachers and police and all of that. So it's a huge behemoth. It's a huge undertaking. And at that point in time, then people work in silos. So you find the other person doesn't know what the other one is doing. So my role, for example, as a government spokesman, is coordinate that kind of communication, because everyone of the agencies or state departments will be communicating based on their own views, like that hippo we are talking about in the dark, where you can only describe what you are seeing or what you're dealing with. So when now the focus of the whole of government is on this tragedy, then there's concerted efforts.
Yeah.
And remember, these individuals that we have mentioned or agencies don't deal with a single issue. They may be dealing with a plethora of issues. But now we have an opportunity for us to say, what is our stand in this way? How can we, augment our, security measures, our processes, so that then such things do not happen?
I think.
However, Eric. There is no legislation against character. When somebody decides to compromise the best of intentions and sell it, I was reading the Bible today in the book of Genesis, I think it's chapter 24, about how Esau sold his birthright, So if then you decide to sell it off in exchange for some little money, then the result is this individuals whose lives have been changed forever, and it's not acceptable.
But it's not a one-off thing, Bwana Spokesman. It's not a one-off thing. That's for somebody to make a decision to do this or to go against what is supposed to be done, that they have come and found that it's either common practice or that it has become systemic. And I think that's the thing that we are talking about. When we talk about government being spread too thin, or we're saying that somebody has decided to go against what should be, it's because they found something that has been accepted. And I think what the position is on how to root out this conditioning of just recurrent bad manners, I think, is the issue. What's the position on that? Because this one just happened to blow up. There are others. I'm sure we know there are others that are disasters in waiting because of pre-approvals that should not have been given, because of the systemic mismanagement and corruption and just horrible, horrible ways of doing things. We had a conversation about city county just an hour before you. What is the position in terms of weeding out this bad behavior, because it is coming out towards the loss of life, as we have seen?
I think the whole issue is something higher and bigger, Ndu. And I'm happy that you've asked that question. People are no longer patriotic. And my office is it has something we are, cobbling up together called the Uzalendo Initiative or the Uzalendo Campaign. Because people become more united when they feel there's a common sense of purpose. And that is what is deterrent more than even a piece of legislation, for example. And so we need to keep on talking about it. And you, the members of the Fourth Estate, you have a platform. SpiceFM is extremely, famous. You've actually revolutionized it to become a premier station where serious issues are discussed in this show. And so we speak to the hearts of the people, not just the minds, because it makes logic. It makes logic that one can make money out of a situation. And it's sometimes very interesting how public officials would openly ask for you for a bribe as if it's their own birthright. So it's a culture that has become extremely endemic in our society. But the only way is to show people to be more patriotic. Wakuwe na uzalendo na utaifa. That is the only way we are going to change the situation. Of course, you will argue about people being arrested, being taken to court, but we know that necessarily may not sometimes be the solution, because we have had people who have gotten anticipatory bails, or like in the situation of this gentleman or the owner of this company, he actually was taken to court and he was fined only 500,000, yet the law provided for 10 million. So again, you can see there's some compromise there with regards to that outcome. So that's the problem. We really have a very, very, very poor values, and that is why the drafters of the Constitution, came up with national values and principles. There are actually 17 of them. But I think for me the most powerful one, Ndu, is patriotism. And I'm not saying this to escape from responsibility. I'm just trying to show that there's something bigger and higher, something philosophical, something that is overarching, that can actually make somebody make a decision that is right without them having to look around who to give instructions, to get instructions from.
There has got to be an incentive, all right, so that people can see that there is example and it pays to do the right thing. Right now, people say it pays to do the wrong thing because you escape, with the little things. So right now, if we say that we tell the public, if you see anything that looks like an illegal establishment that is doing gas refilling, please report to the nearest officer. Those officers are aware of these installations. The Honorable Moses Kuria, Cabinet Secretary, tweeted of one that's next to a police station. Obviously, the police must have known. And if they didn't know, they have all the right and powers to go and inspect and check. And they know who to report to if there's an issue, even if the government is operating in silos, which goes against the mantra of government, the one whole government approach. It basically is pointing to something. And I agree with you when you say it's pointing to an issue of patriotism, but it's also pointing to an issue of a system that has serious cracks. And if we do not accept that our system has serious cracks, then I don't think we can solve it. A system with such cracks that 4 officers can immediately be pointed at and say, if we just do a casual investigation by a board, we can establish there was a flouting of procedure in the issuance of this license. Just a casual top-level investigation. That's a failure by our system.
And if that is the case here, and it's the case because there was that fire, if there was no fire, this would not be a discussion. So it begs the question, what else is seeping through the cracks? What other impending danger is there? Something that we are not quite seeing, but it's lurking and waiting to strike at the right moment. And I ask this question, Mheshimiwa, because of a simple reason. In the last 2 years, we've had very many strange fires in this city. Place like Kikomba, it's like periodic. You'd actually think that there's a tradition of Kikomba burning down. You suddenly hear that the industry of individuals who have businesses along the roadside creating furniture, you find the whole lot burnt. And I'm thinking, really, how long have they been there? It's now burning down. Then you go back into history. There is a pipeline fire, there is Sinai, there is JKIA, and you're thinking, my goodness, these are other many, aren't they? Because we have other cities in this country. You don't hear of such calamities. So what is it? When you say patriotism, I would agree with you, and you're looking at the outcome. But I'm saying, if there are cracks, those cracks are not getting fewer, they're not getting less, they're getting more. And unfortunately, whenever a crack is envisioned or when it becomes public, people lose lives.
I think it's a difficult conversation, and I hear you. And people who have to deal with this on a daily basis, you know, like you come, you it's like this is an accountability platform. I come here as a government spokesman to speak on behalf of government, but I belabor the pain because, you know, it goes all the way to even how we elect our officials, you know. And do we have very high standards? You know, there's a conversation that somebody was giving me, was telling me about on Sunday. And he was telling me, oh, you have a neighbor there. That neighbor was telling us that you really were popular on the ground, but because you cannot steal yourself into being elected, then that is the reason why. So I was wondering, okay, who is this? I don't even know the person, the name. But it is not to play clean, but it's true. It's true what you have said very clearly. We seem to glorify those that can do whatever they want and they get away with it. I think the culture of impunity has been there for a very long time. And unfortunately, not sounding like a preacher, but the law does not cure this problem because people don't have a way of circumventing the law. So there must be some higher kind of inspiration that makes people to obey and to follow certain tenets without them being compelled by somebody coming behind them with a whip. But then, of course, it's also true. If you go to China, for example, they'll tell you the moment the corruption went down is when people were executed publicly. That is a time when people said, I don't want to face this embarrassment. And they will show you even how, you know, one official, I forget his name, who had this very nice Rolls-Royce vehicles and living large, and how his whole family was actually finished. And that way, then they've been able to build a very robust state. Not to say that that should be the case, but suddenly, I actually wonder whether sometimes this idea of copy-pasting practices from other jurisdictions is not counterproductive, because at our level of development now, we are having a situation where everything that is done, and including by the president, is questionable. Somebody will go to court and countermand and change presidential directives. And then that means then it becomes a circus. It becomes a circus. By the time that issue is resolved, then there is now water has gone under the bridge. So I think that is where the issue is. I think that is where the issue is. We become too liberal. I think we become too liberal. So everybody thinks eventually you can go with it.
Do you know why I'm laughing? You have brought in echoes of the past. There was a gentleman who was once a minister in the Moi government called Sharif Nasir, and he said something very similar to what you just said. He said the problem with Kenya is there's too much freedom. People are too free to do whatever they like. But unfortunately, that's what the Bill of Rights espouses, and that's what it's supposed to be like. Unfortunately, that's what it brings about. It's called accountability. And when any form of accountability is opposed, then we are saying that someone seems to be propagating a system where one can't be asked a question or one can't be told, take a step back and consider. Now, is it really a bad thing for the government, for the executive, for anybody who is in authority to be told, pause a while and consider? Is it really a bad thing?
No, I think the issue is when it's too tight, then it becomes a draconian state. When it becomes too liberal, nothing happens. So you've got to find a balance. And Francis Fukuyama, I'm a student of his, politics, I keep on quoting him, the origin of political order, and then another one written, political order and political decay. He says that you don't need, if you have a too strong a state, then nothing happens. If you have too weak a state, then as well, nothing happens. Because then people are stifled in terms of the creativity if they have to look over the shoulder. And we've been there before.
Does Fukuyama give examples of states that have this balance?
Yes. But usually they are at another level of development, not like ours. They may have actually attained certain forms. His argument is that first you have a very strong arm of the state. It stabilizes, then you slowly release, you democratize the franchise.
Okay.
But then in our case, it's like we went straight. That mediation didn't quite happen.
Don't you think, Mheshimiwa, that actually it is those that still have hang-ups of the strong arm that are finding it hard to let go? We talk about impunity and accountability, because it's all about accountability, isn't it? Today, and that's why I said, as we launched the Uzalendo campaign, it'll need a face, something that shows incentive, that shows that when something wrong happens, there's a price to pay for it. When something right happens, then there's a reward for it. And you can all see the reward, the fruits of the right things happening. We all continuously see the fruits of the wrong things happening with a government that is continuously not able to answer very basic questions. This fire story, many people are not even holding their breath that after 2 weeks, this issue of Mradi will end. The 28 families who've been given money to go and pay rent, they'll pay rent for maybe 1-2 months. After that, sort yourselves out. The people who are in hospital, whose lives have been changed, after that, sort yourselves out. The people who've been suspended in various offices, nothing will happen to them. Look at Shakahola. To date, the government, and you're the spokesman, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the government cannot tell us how many people are buried in Shakahola today, a year after they started digging up the land. Today, the government cannot tell us what exactly happened in Shakahola, who took people to Shakahola. How did they end up in Shakahola? Were all those people starving themselves to death because they were following a cult leader, or were there other things? We cannot know. Today, we do not know who's responsible for insecurity in the north. Today, we do not know when somebody who applied for a passport or an ID 2 years ago will get that document.
Okay.
And if all these things, we are not seeing the results of fighting impunity and demand for accountability, then there is no incentive to stop impunity.
Okay, Eric. I think. Let me first and foremost say, the idea of the public good is not immediately felt, and that's a challenge of governance. People are hand to mouthers, so they see the immediate. It is incumbent upon any leader who aspires to transform society to see further than the people that he's leading. That is why he has that responsibility. That's why he has that latitude. That is why he has that opportunity to serve. But then you have to move with the people. And that, I think, is a challenge. Because when we talk about free medical health care at the primary level 1, 2, and 3, primary health care, because this money is being diverted to private hospitals, and then those people go to court to oppose the law, that is very clear. When you talk about the issue of IDs that are now pending, 700,000 Kenyans have not been able to get IDs. We had a sit-down yesterday with the Chief Justice and the Executive, because we are on an accountability journey. We call it the Government Roadshow. And that's a matter that is going to be determined, I think, today. Let's wait to see what they say about it. But then when you have that delay, then many people tend to suffer. When it comes to the issue of, getting to the bottom of it, Eric, I believe we will have a final report on the Shakahola, and it will give us a near correct, because sometimes we may not fully understand, a near correct figure, estimate of how many people died there, whether there was extrajudicial killings by the security apparatus, whether it was purely, gangs, or also the religious intoxication by, or rather, whatever that happened there. But it is also true that people move on very quickly, and you are in the media industry. People have attention span of only 24 hours on an issue. When you ask them about what was happening the following week, they don't remember. It's just a culture that is becoming common in this information age, because there's information overload. There's too much that is happening and everybody's trying to report. But then what is the residual effect of this? The fact that we may not have very strong follow-up mechanisms on issues is something I would want to consider that we need to also improve upon. So that then we don't just profile the situation just because it is current. That one is something personally, as even the government spokesman, I agonize about. I agonize because, Eric, I've seen how the lives of people have been transformed forever, and I wonder what that will mean when the reality actually hits those that are affected. And of course, there is also an element of heroism, and that maybe that's what we need to amplify on the Uzalendo campaign. Like there are some young men in Embakasi, the Mradi area, who actually got banned because they were trying to save others. So and you could see they were there. Those are the people we need to extol that virtue and to hail them and to and to amplify that kind of heroic act that they did, so that then people can see the positive aspects of it rather than those who just profiteer using illegalities. And of course, it is actually true, Eric, that those that then do good are sometimes are seen to be like they come last. In fact, even in dating, they say good men come last. So it's kind of a principle in society generally. But be that as it may, even if they come last, they are the ones who last longer.
But you see, the effect of everything that I've just talked about is that citizens then will hear what the government is saying, but they will not trust what the government is saying. When the government says, we are going to resolve this issue, when the government says, never again shall people burn like this because of something like this, people just look at you and you think, well, yeah, haven't we had that before? Because there's no follow-up. And the follow-up is not with the office of the government spokesperson, because you should only be speaking to us about progress and report. There are people who are supposed to be doing it. Those people who are supposed to be doing it, why are they not doing it? And why are they not being held to account for not doing what they ought to be doing?
I think, Eric, it's a communications issue as well. I have gathered information that then after this, I use it to seek support or follow-up. For example, I was able to reach out to the UN, and the UN resident representative at interim, Medhin, and we were able to get some support from the UNHCR, you see. Now, those that have lost their documents, when they register at the social hall, we follow up with the Kenya National Examination Council. We follow up with the National Registration Bureau, then they take it up. This communication aspect, it brings people together in the whole of government approach, WOGA. So it's critical. But then, of course, it's a call to action. And I've seen it work, actually. I've seen it work. Like, for example, when we're having the El Nino emergency response, Kenya Red Cross could not, import some boats to help in the rescue missions because there was a bottleneck with the Kenya Bureau of Standards. And my office had to intervene to make sure that process became seamless. So it's a communications issue, and because you are the one on the ground, you are the one who gets to be informed by everybody what they are doing, and then you do a follow-up mechanism. Of course, I will inform the president. I will inform the deputy president now that he is the one in charge in the ensuing period until the president comes back. So those kind of things it's a connection issue, but at the same time, it's also. Why patriotism, again, if I can say that, is because it jolts you into action without you being prompted. You get, yeah? And you feel compelled to do so. And give credit where it is due. I think that was very strong around President Moi's reign. Uzalendo, patriotism. We even had a loyalty pledge that it bordered on the political, but at least you could feel that there was a serious endeavor to encourage nationhood and patriotism. That has since been lost for the last 20 or so years, more than 20 years, because then we became individual relational. It was about rights. And of course, rights also have responsibilities. You can't just say that you have your right and therefore then you are not responsible. Because just like we have three arms of government, they are independent, but they are interdependent. The judiciary would want the parliament to allocate resources, the executive would want to execute, but also would like to have the force of law. So that kind of thing. And even the judiciary would require police to enforce their orders. So you cannot then therefore say you are operating in isolation. And I'm just appealing personally as a government spokesman to individuals then who hold these offices to do something. And what we are doing...
Sorry, which individuals who hold offices in government?
Yes.
Okay.
In government, who of course must do the needful, the follow-up, make sure that...
If I may lend an opinion and then ask a question, and I think that exactly is the issue, that because these things are not happening, and that's why I had alluded earlier to the systemic issues that are being faced, and then they will touch on all of these matters, whether we talk today about the cost of living, whether we talk about an education sector in crisis, whether we talk about a health system that is on its knees, whether we speak about disaster management that doesn't exist, whether we speak about endemic corruption around the country. It doesn't matter what we pick on. From your position, when you come and tell Kenyans then to be patriotic, that means that they then do their duty. The reaction that you get from most people doesn't come from a place of not wanting to be patriotic. It comes from a place of dis and mistrust. That time and time again, Kenyans have been told certain things, and those things do not live out the day, that they do not see them. I can bet my bottom dollar again that by next week we will not be talking about Mradi. We forgot about Shakahola, something so brutally terrible that has happened in this country. We don't address it with the vim that we addressed it. In the beginning, we were told this genocide. In fact, people will burn at the stake because of this kind of thing. And here we are still twiddling our thumbs 1 year later. It is distrust. And that same distrust is fueling so many other things. So when you come and tell parents of students in national schools that they should then pay to one e-citizen platform, they don't welcome it with open arms. They say, what is afoot? What do you really want to use that money for? Do you see what I'm saying? So now, the communication that you give from your podium every time, does it really take into consideration how Kenyans perceive the information that you are delivering?
I think generally there is a distrust between the people and the government. So I am in government today, but possibly if I'm not in government tomorrow, I will also use that. It's become a sport to fight government, to make it look like it's insensitive. And that's not an issue that just affects our jurisdiction. It is across board. And defending government is not a walk in the park, because people think like you are coming there to just cook up things. But I can tell you, now that I've been in this position, actually I've just finished 4 months on 4th of February.
How's the shoe fitting?
It's quite okay. It's like fish into water. what people don't know, actually, I have a background in communications. Yeah, it's not just because the team or the politician. Before I became a member of parliament, I was actually a public communications officer, principal public communications officer at the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. I started that PR department from scratch, and I've gone to school to study this. So it's not just... it's not just like I was found there, and given an opportunity to...
It was not a political reward.
Even if it was to be the case, but it was to a competent person.
All right.
Because, of course, you have to be politically aligned. We cannot lie to the fact that, for example, I'm the one who wrote the first draft of the manifesto, really, the plan. I was qualified. But then, yeah. So the issue is the trust issue. But I think... doing good, is not a popularity contest. There's a lot of singularity in that, and even those democracies that have been able to curate their histories and make individuals look like they are larger than life. It's taken time. But here we may have a culture of extolling impunity. Now we have a Heroes Council. And I believe that will play a critical role in just making people to look up to the ones that really stand out. The systems, the way they is structured, is still a hunter-gatherer. By the way, it's still a hunter-gatherer. It's about the rule of the jungle. That I can tell you. even when it is supposed to be the most democratic, when the crux of the matter, when there is the crux of the matter, you find that you have to be bare knuckle, and do it that way.
You're referring here to basic and fundamentally human nature.
Yes.
But let me ask you this question.
Those are atavistic tendencies of...
Yes. This nationalism you speak of, if it was full-blown and in the full glare of light, what would it look like?
It will look like you don't need to ask somebody where they're coming from. You don't need to say that you are doing this because you are defending your tribe. You'll just be defending your nation. You'll have some values that bring you out as a Kenyan.
Okay, let me just pause for a second. In the last 10 years, not 20, just 10, I could go to 20. Every time we've had a disaster in this country, there's been some formation of a group of individuals, either in the corporate sector or whatever, trying to marshal resources to assist people. Have you seen how Kenyans have risen to that call? Have they even asked who is being helped? There's a need, they have helped. Okay? Last week, we had a case of a lady who was watching TV with a child, and they actually saw the situation room, got the number, child couldn't go to school, they didn't have money, they called. We raised the issue to our listeners. Within the space of half an hour, fees for the whole year had been raised. Fees for the books, fees for uniforms. Everything that child needed was given by our listeners. Now, I'm trying to say, what you're saying you seek to create exists. That's really the point
We are patriotic.
100%.
That's the point I'm trying to raise.
That's why Harambes and WhatsApp groups work. Because we come together. You do not say that, I cannot contribute to so-and-so because he's Luo, he's Kisii, and I'm not. No. Yeah. Or the national flag, or the national dress, national this and the other. Now it's Uzalendo. You forget that we are actually patriotic.
Yeah, I think, Eric, we are not patriotic enough. We may respond to individual distress because we see ourselves in that distress. And that's okay. But then in terms of public property, in terms of public good, in terms of people going out of their way not to cash in on public utilities or services that they are rendering, that's not the case. It is very common to be asked for a bribe by a public official, be it a policeman or somebody offering a certain service. You have public vehicles, the government vehicles being misused because...
Mheshimiwa, how is that unpatriotic?
It is very unpatriotic because you are doing it because it does not concern you. It only concerns you if it's a personal tragedy. That's where the difference is. If there's company in misery, by the way. Yeah. But then before the misery happens,
Mheshimiwa, do you know I asked the question?
Yes.
A lot of issues that relate to bribery are associated with the police service, okay? But you see, the trade-off here is inconvenience that may lead to incarceration, and the exchange rate is a few shillings. Now, I'm giving you perspective. I could argue, if you people paid, being this government and the previous one, paid the police better, who knows? We might argue they wouldn't need to be asking us for the 10, 20, 30, 40, 100 bob, whatever it is.
Can I answer you?
Please. I was just giving a perspective, but please respond.
Yeah. I have been in Parliament 2 times, National Assembly and Senate. And I can tell you, and I'm saying this without certainty, it doesn't matter how much you pay a member of Parliament. No money will ever be enough to resolve individual problems. Because, nobody has enough money to feed a village. And that is why you find when people leave Parliament or other elected positions, they are paupers.
Which way you've got it. You don't need to feed a village. You need to make sure the village can feed itself.
Exactly.
That is the quarrel.
I'm with you 100% on that one. Now, for who then makes that difficult decision? I came here to your studio because I respect it. When I come here, I discuss issues that are not mundane. They are issues that you are a collegiate think tank, if I can give you my assessment of what you do. You put people to account in a rather sober way. But such conversations don't quite happen in the pedestrian, in the streets there. Because people are hand-to-mouthers. I mean, it's an existential thing. And that is why then, instead of going to court, then I just trade off with some little cash here. But this then, therefore, becomes a conversation that must, first and foremost, happen at the upper echelons of our society, because then there is that privileged position, because you're not dealing with the hand-to-mouth issues. But secondly, it is preemptive, it's ab initio, that then you have it yourself, that how did I end up making this decision, to what benefit? And without even being philosophical, it goes back to the Lee Kuan Yew, famous quote that he decided not to become rich and being in the list of Forbes rich people, but his country to become number one. Now that can only come out of patriotism, and the struggle of it is like you look at Julius Kambarage Nyerere. He decided to extol nationalism and some African socialism called Ujamaa. And after 25 years of trying it, he said it failed. But today, if you go to Tanzania...
But did it really fail?
That's where I'm coming to.
Yes.
When you go to Tanzania, you find a lesser corrupt country, a more united country, a country that has got manners more than us, and people who you can easily trust, even at an individual level, and even their language, much as it could be honorific, but they will tell you, Paul and Nataka Unifa, Naomba. That is not here, because we went to the cut-through thing. And what I'm realizing, if you study the countries that first formed as a nation, when they get the opportunity now to go the capital way, they take off, because the moral fabric, the material culture is already established. It's the same case with China. It's the same case I see with Ethiopia, which was just up to recently even Addis Ababa was a big slum. But as we go there, we went the capitalist way, and then it's everybody for themselves. And that is the cutthroat competition. Then therefore means even if you have in charge of public goods, what people will ask you is that after you are out, how did you help yourself? So if you didn't, then you are a stupid person.
You're useless.
Yeah, people then don't live within their means, and therefore it doesn't matter how much you can be compensated for, it can never be enough. And that is the real essence of our very unequal society. So our Uzalendo initiative, therefore, Eric Latiff, coming to you, is an attempt not necessarily to resolve everything, but at least to have some rallying call.
Set the ball rolling.
Yeah, for people who then will be self-initiated.
Are you starting
into
this in government offices? For example, the government is meant to be meeting for a retreat soon. Cabinet secretaries, PSAs, and senior officials, right?
Yes.
That's a very good opportunity for you now to launch the Uzalendo initiative. Start with that group. Preach to those ones. That's not the choir. Those ones.
Can I answer you that question, Eric?
After you preach to those ones, then now go to the other government offices. After we see, come to us and tell us, you see what we mean by Uzalendo?
You see what they're doing?
This is what we mean. Service to humanity and all.
Combined with that, a simple question. When a spokesman, is government working?
Thank you. Very good. Uzalendo initiative, I take it as a challenge. Let me take that as a feedback. Now, let me explain the cabinet retreats. The first cabinet retreat happened on the 5th of January, 2023. I was not part of it because that time I had not been appointed into government. The second one happened 15th to 17th of November. I was part of it. In fact, that's when I was introduced formally at the Edge in the South Sea. And then...
The upcoming one.
The upcoming one. Now, between the pit stop, we call it pit stop, like you go to the garage, we've done a government roadshow. It's like we are going to have a government lab report. We came up with a template, 15 questions. One of them is about communication. The other one is about pending bills, quite huge there. Absorption of money, issues to do with HR, issues to do with the legacy projects from other previous administrations, the better projects under what we've started in the last 16 months. We've gotten a lot of insights of how these ministries are performing. It's amazing. Now, the pit stop, So the first retreat was about formation. Do we know what we are doing? The second one was people talking to us, The third one is us talking to ourselves. So now we'll have a report. We had a sit down with the president about 3 weeks ago or thereabout at State House Nakuru. Now we'll be presenting this on the 19th and 20th of February if the dates do not change, where we'll be now saying where are we? And I can tell you it's been an extremely useful exercise. It's never happened before.
What does it say? Is the government working?
There are some areas, there's a lot of progress that has been made, but that is not known out here. It forms part of the podium, briefings every Thursday, because then I'm able to relay. Now I have something I can report to the Kenyans. Number two, there are things that are not working. Okay. There are things that need to be improved upon. For example, if you have to be able to release the money from the pending bills, there will be circulation in the country. Are there some projects that are dead weight that needs to be retired so that you reallocate these resources to what is more important? You see, that's a political decision. Do you, for example, have enough resources in terms of human resource to serve the country in certain areas of the economy? Do we need too many parastatals, for example? There are very germane questions that are coming out that needs to be addressed. For example, in terms of communication, I can tell you because that's I'm in charge of
time immeasure.
Okay.
But we thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Isaac Mora is the government spokesman. He's been our guest. It's time for the news, 9 a.m.
Asante sana.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto left the country for a study visit to Japan, the first by Kenyan head of state in 2 decades. According to a State House statement, the visit is expected to strengthen and rekindle bilateral relations between Kenya and Japan. The visit by Ruto follows Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's visit to Kenya in May 2023 and commemorates the 60th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Ruto's official visit will be marked by intense bilateral talks with Prime Minister Kishida, with a focus on economic cooperation in key sectors such as health, ICT, infrastructure, energy, and financial services. Several important memoranda of understanding are on the agenda, including defense cooperation, private-public partnership for road construction, and the expansion of Kenya Medical Research Institute's laboratory. Now, Immigration and Citizen Services PS Julius Bitoka said school principals will still be able to access fees paid by parents on the eCitizen platform. Bitoka said the eCitizen payment platform is convenient and transparent, noting that the directive is meant to harmonize the collection of school fees and promote accountability. Education PS Bailey Kipsang announced the new school fees payments module last week, marking a departure from the old model where parents and guardians would pay school fees directly to various school accounts. Now, ODM party is yet again in mourning following the death of one of its branch officials in Kiambu County. Joseph Njoroge Kiara's death comes just a week after the loss of two other ODM members, a branch youth league official in Gem and a former MCA in Teso South. On January 29th, the ODM party suffered a double tragedy following the deaths of Gem ODM Youth League chairperson Agri Okoh Ombe and a former ward rep. Ombe died after a short illness. This is according to a statement from the party. Now, 3 fishermen were confirmed to have died in the past 3 days in different ways during operations in Lake Victoria within Homa Bay County. Moses Ngege died Sunday evening at Uyoga Beach in Suba, North Sub-County, after he reportedly slipped into the lake when he went to bathe. He was unable to swim, causing his instant death. His fellow fishermen searched for the body and retrieved him. Some hours later, his body was moved to MED 25 Kirindo mortuary. To other stories, and police in Rarieda Sub-County are investigating an incident where an 86-year-old granny died following a house fire at Kocharo village in Siaya County. The woman, who had been identified as Helida Nyangweso, was burnt to death following a fierce fire that broke out in a house. According to Siaya County Police Commander Cleti Kimayo, the incident was reported at Luanda Kotieno Police Post by the woman's son, Zedekiah Omar. He stated that Omar reported that the granny was all alone in the house when the fire broke out, and when she was heard screaming, the son rushed to the house, which had already caught fire. Kimayo added that upon arrival in the house, which was on fire, Omar found when his mother had been burnt while on her bed. He struggled and managed to remove her while still alive. Now, Migori County has reported 3 cases of cholera in Kuria Sub-County, Migori County. Now, the county executive in the Department of Health, Julius Nyeri, says 2 of the people who contracted the diseases have been discharged after recovering, adding that 1 person is still receiving treatment in the hospital. Nyeri said they suspect that the cholera cases have been imported from the neighboring country of Tanzania. And 2 police officers based at Kabonge Police Station in Kirinyaga County are being held at Baricho Police Station after being linked to the loss of an AK-47 rifle. According to Kirinyaga West Sub-County Police Commander Moses Koskei, the 2 police officers were manning the police station when the firearm went missing under unclear circumstances. The police boss assured residents not to dispel worries and assured them that the ongoing investigations would lead to the recovery of the firearm. Now, 19 people, one of them a humanitarian worker, were killed in ethnic clashes over the weekend in Abyei region straddling the border between Sudan and South Sudan, and claimed by both, according to local authorities. Violence is common in the oil-rich territory, with 54 people killed last week alone, including 2 UN peacekeepers. Another 64 people were injured in fighting last week between 2 tribes of the main ethnic Dinka, the Abyei-based Ngok and their Twig rivals from the neighboring state of Warab in South Sudan. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's a few minutes after 9 o'clock, and what's happening here? Let's take a look at the Thika Superhighway, because it was thick with traffic earlier, and I think we're still looking at the same situation. Well beyond the Outer Ring Junction, we're looking at traffic is still as far back as the GSU headquarters this morning. So service lanes, okay, helping out, but then you're going to get to the Pangani underpass, and it's going to slow down a little bit more. Coming off of Kiambu Road, a little bit better, but we still have that traffic at the junction. Ring Road Westlands is an absolute nightmare today. It's coming in from Ole Tok Tok all the way out towards Chiromo, so that you have to watch out for. Parklands is also jam-packed. It doesn't matter where you look, coming off of Tigiri Ridge, and then out towards Kitisuru, and then through towards Lemuru Road. Very, very busy traffic. James Gishoro also still giving this morning. Where are you? Are you stuck somewhere? Let us know. At the very least, we can say hello. If you find a good route, let us know that as well, and we can share. How about we talk on SpiceFM KE on X? Hashtag #TheSituationRoom.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
The Situation Room this morning starts now, and our next guest is in the studio. Senator Gloria Oroba, nominated by the UDA party to the Senate, is our guest. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Karibu sana.
We haven't met this year?
No, we haven't.
Wow.
Imagine.
Yeah.
You're busy.
You don't invite me.
Should we open it? Senator,
open.
Should we open it?
I'm well.
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to going back into session. We're opening on 13th of February. Yeah, so I'm excited.
Very good. So on that 13th, go to Parliament. On the 14th, go to Sarit Center.
What's happening in Sarit Center?
First of all, what's happening on the 14th?
14th, I know, is the anniversary that I got publicly shamed.
Good Lord. Okay, so
on
also-
menstruation. So
that's all you remember about the day.
It's now trauma. Yeah.
Other people also celebrate Valentine's Day.
Oh yes, yes. For those who love each other.
Exactly. And
Yeah,
for those
yeah,
for
yeah,
whom
yeah,
love
yeah.
is in the air and those things, so they want to land it now. And Sarit Center is saying, Sarit Your City is saying, come and land it at the Elegance in Love dinner.
So who's going to take me there?
Don't worry. You know why?
Yeah.
Even if there's nobody
You don't
to take
love
you,
anyone?
don't worry.
Mi sina mtu wa kunipeleka Sarit
Do you
Center.
love anyone?
Do you love anyone?
I love many people.
Take one.
I take all of them.
Take
People
one.
love you. This is all we need. That you love someone and somebody loves you. Bas.
So the person that I love, I take them to Sarit Center.
Exactly, and you just pay 5,500 shillings for those two people. Or it depends. Are you regular couple or are you VIP couple? Exactly.
Or are you, are you regular
Yes,
single?
no. Are you regular
Or
single?
are you regular single?
There's something for everybody at the Elegance in Love dinner happening on the 14th of February. 3,000 shillings, 5,500 shillings for regular couple, or 10,000 shillings
What
for
do you
VIP.
get for 5,000?
For regular couple? You get to eat dinner. There's a welcome drink. There'll be food and entertainment. You know, nice.
Will they
things.
have matoke and mala and chinsaga?
We can find out. We first need to find out what chinsaga
Where?
is. But you know,
The Sarit
The
Center.
people I love, those are the things
Those are
they
the
like
things they want to eat.
Yeah.
You know, it isn't. This Valentine, not one of those traditional nights.
Wachana na mambo. Kama unataka kuleta mambo ya sijui nini hiyo utaenda Sarit Center.
But now, Sarit, Your City, for a night of fun, for a night of love, spicy entertainment. Book your tickets, ticketsasa.com. And hey, you know what? Burgundy and gold. Those are the colors. You get it, don't you?
What about red and pink?
No, burgundy and gold.
Lipstick?
Burgundy and gold.
Hakuna lipstick ya burgundy na gold.
No, there's a gold shimmer on top of the burgundy lipstick. You get it? You see? You feeling me? I know you would get it. All these things can happen. 14th of February.
Yeah.
Right, let's go.
All right, City is going to give you the day's proverb, and it'll also tell you why it's important to take water regularly, and not just any brand of water.
And
but
City's
carrying
proverbs
it.
are always feel targeted, so I'm ready this time.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so do you want me to start with the once upon a time story of water? Or once upon a time there's a proverb. Which one would you like to start with?
Start with water.
Okay. You know, this one is like a really simple story. And it's a true story, and it has a happy ending. 60-70% of your body is water. Fact. Now, when you drink water, what you do is you infuse your body with life, because every bit of your body actually needs water to function properly. But the infusion comes with minerals, because water has minerals. You're talking potassium, you're talking calcium, you're talking sodium, you're talking zinc, you're talking iron. I mean, I could go on. Okay? Now, when you talk mineral water and you talk Keringet, you're talking about all these things. Now, the beauty of Keringet is that this water is local. It doesn't get more local. A spring, Molo, Keringet, all these things I've mentioned, you will find in that water. So when you refresh yourself, what you're doing is you're revitalizing yourself and ensuring that your body is happy. That's what you do when you drink Keringet.
Wow.
Nana.
Do they have sparkling water?
They do.
Okay. Niliswali tu ndio nilikuwa
That's what you
nauliza.
take.
Sasa hiyo, apart from feeling good, you'll be sparklingly feeling good.
With the same minerals in the sparkling.
Same minerals.
Okay.
The proverb?
Darkness conceals the hippopotamus.
Ati?
The proverbs for this week come from the country
You
of
see?
Namibia.
I always tell you, City's proverbs are always targeted. Mpaka naiandika. Ati darkness conceals.
The hippopotamus.
Okay. Explain.
I was rather hoping you'd do that.
No, I am a good student today.
Okay. Take darkness, take a hippo, take the color. What can you really see in darkness? Now, if what you're supposed to be looking for has a dark hue, what is the likelihood of you seeing it?
Nil.
Precisely. Now, hippopotamus is fairly big. Yes. So in darkness, you really can't see it, can you? So now,
not really, you can't.
So take darkness, figuratively, take a hippopotamus, figuratively, and ask yourself, when there's darkness, what can you really see? Whether it's big or small?
So now, the way I've understood it, you replace darkness with Azimio, and then hippopotamus with mischief.
Yes.
Then I've understood it.
You've understood it?
Yeah.
See?
Okay, now give us your interpretation.
The interpretation is darkness conceals hippopotamus. Hippopotamus is the thing that someone would like to hide, which I have taken as mischief. And then darkness, I have replaced it with Azimio. So Azimio, most of the time, the things that they do are just mischief and they're concealed. So you will see they are fighting for rights. Oh, we don't want affordable housing. Lakini, it's just mischief. It's political gimmicks and digressing the population from development.
Okay.
So wewe una replace to darkness na Azimio na hippopotamus na mischief.
Sawa kabisa.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all right.
Higher.
We have heard you.
You've heard me.
And you know what? Your interpretation is correct because that is your interpretation.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mwalimu.
Today, Gloria, is the International Day
of Zero Tolerance.
Of FGM.
FGM. Do you have a message for that?
I have so many messages.
One, just pick one.
One. Abagusi, we need to stop. Because I come from Kisii County, and we still have female genital mutilation going on. And I'm saying my message is we need to stop. We need to stop it. We know the repercussions. We know that it has no value. So we need to stop. But my second message, which I'm sure many Kenyans do not know, is that we have another form of genital mutilation, intersex genital mutilation. Did you know about that? Which nobody talks about. Where you have a child who's born as an intersex, and then the parent decides, but I want to have a girl, so they literally...
Pause. Pause. Explain intersex. What is it?
Intersex, in very basic language, is where you have a person who does not have a clear... they are neither male or female.
Remember, what you just said is not clear at all.
There is no clarity of their sex, the
Why?
sexual orientation.
Why?
Because it comes in different forms. There are like 47 different forms, like our counties. So you can have like a full grown woman who has
female features.
Female features,
yes,
but has got chromosomes that are of male dominance.
Meaning they have a deep voice.
And internally, they also have a sexual orientation that is male. Or vice versa. You can have a full-grown man who actually has a
Female
whole
goners.
reproductive system
of a man,
of a woman internally. So they even have menstruation.
But if you look at the person physically,
Including they have a penis.
and they even have a beard.
Everything. But then internally, they have a womb, they have their cycles, and they have their menses.
So, this mutilation.
So what has been happening because of the lack of sensitization of even the knowledge of the same is that you have parents, they get a child and they are informed that the sex is not clear. It could be a boy or a girl. And they decide maybe the penis, for instance, is not as pronounced. And then they ask the doctor to operate and surgically remove that.
Okay.
And then later, unfortunately, this child grows into being a man. And so that's what we're calling that type of genital mutilation, which nobody talks about, but is actually on the increase. And it is affecting a whole community of more than 1,000 Kenyans. The last population census of the intersex, which by the way, Kenya was the first country in Africa to have a census of intersex. Yeah. And it had around 1,570. Those who at that time did not feel the stigma to go and present themselves. If another census is done now with the sensitization that we have done and people being aware and the openness of this issue of being intersex, there are definitely thousands and thousands of people who are intersex. It's a big community. Yeah.
Are you aware of the bill by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights on intersex?
Yes.
Championed by Dr. Dennis Omalwa, who
Yes.
was himself
Yes.
the first person in the world to occupy a state office as an intersex.
I didn't know about him being the first person in the world to occupy a state office, but yes, I'm aware of the bill. And just to add on that, having been in parliament now, I've realized that there's so many ways to solve issues from a legislative perspective. And it's not only through bills. So a bill is very lengthy, bureaucratic, requires a lot of buy-in. It takes 18 months to 20-something, maybe 3 years even for it to pass and be put into law. But one of the things that I have done with representatives of the intersex community is that I wrote a letter to the PS of the Ministry of Interior, which deals with registration of persons. And because there's an existing act, a children's act, that actually legally defines and recognizes the intersex community, most of the issues that are being, that they're trying to fix with the bill, let me say like 40%, not all, can actually be fixed through regulations. So I have requested the Ministry of Interior to front regulations to make sure that intersex community are not deprived of their rights. For instance, they can't get an ID. They can't get an ID. They can get a birth certificate with I as the sex, but they cannot get an ID with I. So they have to choose to be female or male, or And those are some of the things that through the regulations you can cure, because the regulations are anchored to a Mother Act, which exists in the Children's Act 2022.
Okay, so, and all this hinged on the fact that this is a natural occurrence. It is not a choice that they have made to be in this condition.
Yeah, it's not a choice. Intersex people don't choose to be who they are. You are born like that. And then what happens is these corrective surgeries that people try to pursue. But at the end of the day, we have to be aware that this community exists and they still need to have services, they need to have IDs, they need to be recognized. There's a whole problem with Athletics Kenya and that community because there are athletes who are female who are seen as not truly 100% female are not allowed to participate, and those who are male who are not seen as male. So it's a lot of issues. Insurance companies don't even recognize how to give policies to intersex people. Like, will I cover you for maternity or not? Will I cover you for sexual reproductive health rights needs in terms of a woman or not? So it's a whole space that needs to be looked into. And today, as we're celebrating the anti-FGM, zero tolerance to FGM day, I want to include that particular community because there is the intersex genital mutilation that nobody talks about.
Well, sure. Please, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Siti. So, Senator, even as you talk about these things and then jumping in to be able to help a lot of folks who are not even underrepresented, not represented when it comes to certain things, and then we see that there's so many needs today. In Kenya today, there are so many needs. If we look at health needs, we are, we're underwater. If we look at education needs, again, underwater. And I think we're inundated. Today, I was supposed to have an appointment with somebody later. And you know what she said to me? She said, unfortunately, I will not be able to make it. I said, why? Because you are she said, no, I'm waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, where are you going? She said, she's going to queue for bursaries. They're giving bursaries in her area. She's going to queue so that her child can get some school fees to be able to go. That's just one representative. That's what's going on. But you've thrown yourself into those waters, obviously, to be able to help a lot of folks out. But let's start with, why are we at this place where the needs are so great, but there are mechanisms supposedly set up by the legislature to make sure that this situation which we find ourselves in doesn't happen, but it is happening?
So I strongly believe that we are in this particular place as a country because we want to go to heaven, but we don't want to die, because we want to have good roads and a good system and a good governance and we want all these nice things that we keep quoting from Singapore and from the US and developed countries. But when you inform Kenyans that these things come at cost and the only sustainable cost is taxes, we are the same people who don't want to pay taxes. So
Who doesn't want to pay taxes?
We are the same individuals who will find every single corner to cut, not to pay taxes. And I say this as we, beginning with me, not because I'm avoiding taxes, but I do know that in my younger years, I'm not that young. In my younger years, there was that thing of, why should we have to pay for this? Why should we have to pay for that? Maybe if I do ABCD, I'll not be able to pay for that particular fee. And I've had to mature into understanding that every single time that I think I'm being overtaxed, I should also not complain about a certain government service that is not efficient or effective. And it does not necessarily equate to that because sometimes it's an issue of corruption and sometimes it's also an issue of bureaucratic nonsense procedures in government. But often, particularly now you're talking about bursaries. Yeah, because those bursaries that are being issued either through CDF or county bursaries, whatever, they are coming from taxes. Because it is an allocation of funds that comes from the national budget that goes to specific devolved institutions, units, that it then trickles down to that bursary. So the same person that will be queuing for the bursary is also the same person who will make sure they don't want to pay any taxes. So you wonder, you start asking yourself. I think we need to sensitize people in so many ways to understand that this country can only be built by us.
Let me ask you, Senator. The person who is queuing for a bursary, why are they queuing for a bursary?
First of all, the idea of queuing for a bursary, to me, in 2023 is just crazy. It's just insane.
Okay. Why are they
Because we already have systems we can use without having people physical queuing.
Why are they seeking support to educate their children?
Definitely lack of jobs.
Sometimes they don't have an income.
No, sometimes it's sometimes it's people who don't have income. Depending on the different situations. Because I know in particular, especially with the CDF, in particular constituencies, the people queuing for the bursaries are not necessarily the people who actually legitimately need the bursary.
It's not the deserving cases.
It's not the deserving Kenyans. So it depends from situation to situation.
How would you place that, across the country? How would you place in terms of percentage? Would you say that the people who apply for assistance to take their children to school, a majority are deserving cases?
Majority
or a majority
are
non-deserving
Majority
cases?
are deserving, and in some few instances here and there, you have the cartels.
So are you saying that this majority does not want to pay tax?
No, I'm saying that the same majority that we as a government are trying to reach to are the same majority that is being convinced. And that's why I started with the quote with the Azimio, by other people, that the initiatives that government is taking is actually against them. For instance, you meet, you talk about bursary, but you go to hospitals. Or I get requests, if I open my phone, you see requests of medical bills and all sorts of things. But it's the same individuals who also buy into the idea that we should go against affordable housing. We should go against the hospital fund. We should go. So, you
how
wonder.
Do you know that they're buying into this idea?
Because I interact with these people.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's the same people that I'm helping. And this is the thing that now you end up as a leader, as a legislator, having to do three things. Sensitizing the people constantly. I will literally, sometimes they even say stop lecturing us, because I'll tell them, listen, I'm going to help you at this point. But for this to be sustainable, you guys really have to support ABCD. That's being done either by your area MP or because you're looking for a sustainable system and mechanism where people don't keep coming to my office for any kind of assistance.
So why do you think they oppose these initiatives?
Because it's misinformation.
Really?
Yes.
You think so?
I have met so many people who are saying hatutaki affordable housing. You ask them why, they can't tell you. Or they tell you because hizo nyumba mnajitengenezea matajiri. And when you ask them, okay, explain, they actually cannot get it down. It's like repeated narrative that I hear through media, mainstream, social, otherwise, and on those campaign tracks. And you buy, it's a psychology. They buy into it to the extent that even if someone tells them from these 50 shillings you're earning, I'm taking 5 shillings to put at affordable housing, the fact that they have been misinformed, they are like, I don't want to do that.
Gloria, on the balance of probability, what do you think they have seen more? Have they seen more of a government initiative where a few people have benefited, a few undeserving people have benefited, or do you think they've seen more of an initiative where a majority deserving people benefited?
I think most of the electorate, the Kenyan people, citizens, are misled. Let me give an example with the fertilizer. When we started with the distribution of fertilizer, it was the same thing. There was a narrative being pushed down hard that this is not going to work, this is not what we need. But right now, all the farmers who have interacted with that program and actually seen the impact of it are the same ones saying, you know what, if not for anything, at least the fertilizer thing works.
You see.
But,
so before
you
they
see with the
experienced
affordable housing, yes.
Before they experienced
there's this misinformation.
No.
But the
is it
affordable
misinformation
housing
or mistrust?
It is a it's mistrust that is built on misinformation.
And what would
Yes.
where was that misinformation coming
You
from?
see, the thing is, when I
Was it
stopped
from a lived
trusting you,
experience?
I stopped trusting you when, for instance, when you say, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are, right? Because you are highly influenced by the people around you.
Yeah.
And if the people around you are constantly telling you, you know, like, let me take an example. Mheshimiwa, wewe, Mama Governor wa Nairobi, every day this is all they're telling me. And they're around me. You know, you walk around with some extent thinking, this is where I need to be.
Should be governor.
So it's a misinformation, it's a mistrust that is built on constant misinformation. And I blame the government for that because I think we are not doing enough to communicate the policies and the projects and even to share the success stories so that mistrust can be reversed and people can actually believe in the next thing that we come and say, okay, we are done with this.
Even if that were the case, I think you need to also share the responsibility of this mistrust with past experience, with lived experience.
Definitely.
You cannot put all of that on misinformation, whereby there would be an element of misinformation. I think people make decisions also based on things they've seen and gone through. I'll give you an example. This education thing is very, very, because you've funded for people to go to school. You've raised funds for children to go to school. There are very many competing things in this country today where somebody is thinking, if I had one more shilling, where I would like to put it would be to ensure that my children go to school or that there's food on the table. And that's the truth. We can build castles in the sky, or we can be very honest about situations that are on the ground today. So the mistrust that we're talking about comes from a lived experience to a large extent. Last year, 37% of capitation did not go to schools. This year, we're not having a conversation about where that 37% went. We're not. Nobody's asking questions about where that money went. Meanwhile, education gets
3.6 trillion shillings was spent by government.
Spent. But nobody's asking questions about where the money went. So guess what? Today, when you come and tell parents, and I'm going to harp on this, when you come and tell parents to pay to one portal on eCitizen school fees, what do you think their first thought or feeling is going to be?
This is what I think. This is what I think.
I really want you to tell me what
I am answering. No, I have to, because I am a parent. I'm not answering this in isolation. I'm a mother. Yeah? I'm complaining that the school is asking for extra fees. We can't see where the money is going. The head teacher, how many of those incidences have we seen on TV where even the head teachers are being kicked out? And then a government intervention comes in and says, we have seen your plight. We have seen your fears. Now, instead of paying cash to a human being who you don't trust, we are saying go to a portal and pay your school fees to a portal.
And trust it.
What more?
Trust the portal.
Let me ask you.
From an organization whereby money that was supposed to have gone to schools
let me reverse this question back at you. Because every time people say that, like what we're doing now, which is healthy debate. I've hosted people during the femicide campaign, and I said to them, you're asking leaders, where were you, blah, 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 blah. Okay, assuming you're the Minister of Interior, I have always asked, what would you do? That's when people realize that you can't keep pointing the finger and not coming up with a solution. Fine, if you are not interested and you don't trust the government portal that is there, you're saying, I don't trust the teacher, I don't want to pay cash to the teacher, they're stealing my money. Government has come with an intervention that is supposed to increase transparency. You're saying you don't trust that system.
Excuse me.
What would you want? What do you want?
Senator, I don't know, but Are you saying that parents have been complaining that when they pay school fees, the school fees does not go to school?
Yes.
Where?
Yes. Oh, what do you mean where? We've even had features.
No,
the
I'm
head
asking
teacher
where
who has
exactly.
been kicked out.
So parents go to a bank, they deposit money.
Yes.
To a bank account for a school.
Yes.
Yes.
And then they come back and they say, we don't think that money went to the school.
That is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
And I can this I speak authoritatively because I have school programs going on.
Yeah.
And the biggest worry for parents is this school is asking us for money. We can't see where the money is going. And some pay cash and some pay to a particular bank account for the school, right? And there's always issues of oversight and accountability.
We can't see, what are they saying? They're saying that the money cannot be accounted for.
They are saying
that at the end of the year, we cannot see, so we paid X amount of money, we cannot see any improvement in the school in infrastructure.
Not only improvement, sometimes they are channeled to pay for a particular, for instance,
for a particular project.
A dining hall.
Okay.
And they will come and complain, we have been fundraising for this dining hall since my firstborn was in whatever.
Yeah.
So the thing that I see and I believe and I know for a fact that we are trying to do by centralizing payments to an online system is transparency and accountability. But this is where I say I'm open as an individual. If you come to me and tell me, Gloria, this one, we also don't want this one. Come and tell me what you want. See, the problem that we have every single time when there's an intervention being given by anyone, not just government, by anyone, is that we are always on the defense. We always say, we don't want that. Okay, what do you want? Now, when I turn it around to you and say, you don't want to pay to the schools, you don't want to pay to the teachers, you're being given an online portal which you can go with your SMS and show, this is where I paid, you don't want that. How then do you want to channel your funds?
Gloria, people have refused to pay school fees because it was not accounted for.
Yes.
You have an example of a school.
Many.
Where parents of a school said,
Many.
we will no longer pay school fees.
I am telling you because, I ran several programs in schools.
Yes.
Including when I started the nutrition program.
Yes.
Now I have a program for decongesting schools from the slums.
Yes.
And moving students to less congested. So I'm telling you stories that every day I hear. So to some extent... I am trying now to understand because you see, I'm not saying that we always get it right.
I'm trying to get to the bottom of
I'm not saying
what
that
is it that the parents are actually complaining about? Is it about accountability for the money sent?
Parents complain about
money
accountability
that has been diverted?
No, they complain about two things. Accountability for the money that they are being asked to raise repeatedly for whatever projects or school fees or whatever, in terms of where is this money actually going. Because you'll find that sometimes even when you're being told, oh, this child is in a certain age and we need this extra book or whatever, they'll still later be told, but you need to also buy the same book that you felt you bought. There's accountability issues. And then also the school fees is always being increased from the school, not from the ministry, not from the school. Right now in schools in Nairobi, you will find some schools are being told pay 1,500 primary schools. Some schools are being told pay 800. Some schools are being told not to pay anything, but then they're being put expenses in different forms.
And the e-citizen
portal
it will only accept a certain amount.
Number one, it will give a clarity on you're in primary school, you're in JSS, you're in this is the amount to pay. So that now that extra cost that is constantly every day, because this education thing, we are not talking about 10 schools or 15 schools or the scale at which
thousands of schools.
Yeah. And the only way for you to have an oversight is by having a proper transparent system, because we also cannot expect the Minister of Education to be able to control each and every headmistress and headmaster through TSC and whatever on how you cannot. It is it's a nightmare. So having a portal, if I pay, it's like my M-Pesa, you pay your M-Pesa, we trust it. Why? Because when you pay and it shows you the message it has gone, if someone tells you agenda, you say, here is my confirmation code. Now you go to the school systems that they've put, the ones using the bank accounts, there are some people who are even sending to a number, a particular, and actually, like you're paying school fees to someone's phone number.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, when this child of yours finishes school, they're not told you have fees arrears.
Fee balance or fee arrears.
As far as you're concerned, you paid school fees and you're not told that there's an arrear.
So this is
so
what
I'm not trying to figure out what the answer is. But let's
this
take
is
a
what
break
the
first.
system
Let's
is
take a
trying
break
to
first.
solve.
Let's take a break. We'll continue shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Gloria Roba is our guest this morning. We are talking about the plight of needy students and also just getting to understand the thinking behind many policy decisions. Keringet, you know about it, Senator.
Yes.
It's a water brand. And it tells you, by the way, just like you asked at do they have still water? Yes, they do. Do they have sparkling? Yes, they do. They tell you own your richness, because this water is not maji ya mtaro, siyo maji sijui kwa gata, sijui nini. It is water that is tapped at source, bottled at source, comes from the richness of the earth, filtered through natural rocks, infused with natural minerals, bottled at source, brought to your desk. Kunywa maji for this break.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
When you are born from African soil, you are born rich in who you are, with a natural richness from Mother Nature herself, just like our still mineral water, which is naturally filtered through Kenyan lands and made rich by a perfect blend of nature's minerals, giving you premium still mineral water made by the same African soil that made you. Keringet, own your richness. Keringet, a product of the Coca-Cola Company.
Across Africa, a new era has begun, connecting us with one purpose: to create and share opportunities to grow. Across our continent, across the world, we are creating a better way to a better future, a Pan-African future. Together, EcoBank, a better way, a better Africa.
Oh, finally! It's my Standard Courier delivery.
At Standard Courier, we know that your time is valuable. That's why we guarantee swift and efficient deliveries to your doorstep every time. Give us a call on 0793 599 684 or schedule your next delivery by visiting our website www.standardmedia.co.ke /
Sunny conditions in Nairobi, highs of 26 and we'll see lows of 16. 14 will be the low in a sunny Nakuru, and 18 and sunny in Nyeri will see lows of 12. 19 and sunny in Eldoret will see lows of 12 as well, and we're looking into a sunny Mombasa at 30, going to highs of 33. It's a 31 and sunny in Malindi with highs of 33. Kisumu, overcast at 25, going to highs of 29, and the same in Kakamega with highs of 30 and lows of 16. Kampala this morning is sunny at 23 with highs of 29, while Dar es Salaam at 30 is sunny, going to highs of 33. Johannesburg is sunny at 22, while Mogadishu is sunny at 30. It's 18 and sunny in Addis Ababa, and we're seeing hazy conditions at 23 in Lagos and cloudy conditions at 23 in Kinshasa.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. 94.4 Spice FM.
Okay, so coming out of traffic hour in no time, but still a lot of movement in the city. Looking much better as you come off these major roads, Nairobi, Ngong Road and the Thika Superhighway. Uhuru Highway now taking a lot from all these other roads now is cramped getting into the city. And there's still a mess on the Thika Superhighway today, and it looks like it's going to take some time before that dissipates. So we're going to be here for it. Limuru Road is also busy as you do that circuit into Muthaiga and then out towards Wangari Maathai. So keeping an eye on things through the morning and through the day. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on X.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Gloria Oroba, she's our guest this morning. Senator, you just told us you run several initiatives that's helping children through school.
Mm-hmm.
And in some of them, you're actually sponsoring them through school, through your initiatives. But then we also have all these other programs. We have bursaries from CDF, from ward level, at national ministry level. Why are they not reaching these needy students?
I was hoping that you asked that question, because I've had other people ask, why are there so many initiatives? And I believe in many initiatives because that's why we have devolution. Why they are not helping many children is what we need to have like a deep dive on. Because I believe, for instance, I talked about the Constituency Development Fund and how most of the beneficiaries, not most, let me say in certain areas, there are some beneficiaries who are actually not the true deserving beneficiaries, because there's been like cartels that have gravitated around the members of parliament offices, and they just have figured out how to either receive double bursaries or just, take the loot with them. So I think we need to fine tune
cartels.
On how. Yeah.
Okay.
As a member of parliament, kwa ground, kwa ground, kuna machinery. Kuna watu wa ofisi yako, within your office. There are people who helped you in campaign. And there are people who have been around those offices since your predecessors and whatever. And they know how to work the system. So what normally happens, it's like by way of experience, they are the ones who know how to navigate through what it means to get to the final list or to be a beneficiary. So they become agents. So they start selling the services of accessing bursary to deserving.
What?
Yeah, it's a whole. Let me give you an example. So I started a free program in Dagoretti North for decongesting schools. So we would take students from Kawangware Primary, from Muslim, just around Kawangware. And it was free. It is free, completely free. You get onto our list because we'll verify through my office. This is a deserving person. Their class is congested. So you get everything catered for. If it's anything to do with admissions to the transfer for the new school, I'm taking them to Kileleshwa Primary. So your not your school fees, but your uniform, your whatever expenses, including books. Yeah. Then I did the first cohort of 55 students, and because it was so believable and people understood what I'm trying to do, and the impact was so high, because there's that instant improvement in academics where they went to because it's less congested. So immediately brokers went down and started opened their to small offices in like social halls, churches, whatever, and said they're now working on my behalf to register the next intake. So we had a particular person who was charging 2,000 to get on the list. So the parents would do the math. They would be like, 2,000 ni pesa kidogo. It's little money to be on the list because she's going to take care of transport. She's going to take care of the uniform. So when you do the bigger picture, they say, 2,000 I can part with.
Price to pay.
Yeah.
Good investment.
Yeah, and that when I say cartels, I'm talking about those kind of, because by the time we got wind of what was going on, people were saying, but that program for Senator Gloria is 2,000. I'm like, who is charging 2,000? It's free. You register at my offices. It's completely free. The only thing that my team does is they look at, because the whole issue is decongesting the schools in Dagoretti North. So they will literally see where your child is transferring from to go and see the level of congestion as compared to certain schools, and then they'll prioritize. That is the only thing we were doing.
What?
Yeah. So when I tell you cartels and things, that's qua ground, that is what happens.
Mheshimiwa,
yeah.
Everything I've read about your initiatives, they're fantastic.
Thank
and you've done some wonderful work. In fact, there are few people who can compare with you, maybe institutions. But this is the thing that concerns me. Whenever I see personal initiative, I see people who are willing to stand in the gap, but I also see failure on part of the government. Because why do we have so many people who need help, and yet every year there's this humongous budget that we are told is for education?
Yeah.
And yet, if I look carefully, it's working because people like you have decided they're not going to sit back and wait for these government projects to work. They're going to do what they can because they can see there's a need.
You're putting me in a very, very tight spot there, because
you shouldn't say such things on open air.
You know, I'm an honest person, and I'm not a true politician. You know, I'm
honest woman.
I'm very honest.
Okay.
I come from the NGO background, and I'm a doer. So I have to tell you that was a very tight spot. So I will say, I don't think government has the capacity in its fullness to be able to be the savior of each and every single child out there. I'm saying this coming from a place of, I have seen the budgets, I have seen the systems, I have seen the broken systems. And the reason we have a thriving NGO industry, I call it the health mafia industry, which I am part of, is because there are many people who want to stand in the gap of that missing link. Now, for a very long time, and even during campaign, and I remember when we were drafting the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, I actually sat there and said, I feel the NGO board needs to work hand in hand with each and every government ministry or agency. Because if there's an NGO being opened today to stand in the gap of health, government should be able to understand what is this gap that someone else is trying to come and fill, and is there anything that we can do from our end to be a bit more efficient, such that we are not encouraging a country that is always looking for help. The only way to do that, one, is to have an audit, which you don't need to now have a commission of inquiry and a committee and everything for audit, because we already have an NGO board. So they should be able to tell you, for instance, under education, how many of those community-based organizations or NGOs, international or local, are operating within that space. And that's where the gap is, because I can tell you then, if I'm a minister of education, for instance, and I hear that Senator Gloria Roba is decongesting schools in Dagoretti North. How is she doing it? She's taking students from schools that have 120 students there and taking them to schools that have empty classrooms. Then as a minister, I should be able to say, okay, I see that has an impact. How can I come in as government and be part of that initiative? For instance, can I then, let me have school buses, if transport is the issue, that way the parents are taking their kids to these places and not the other schools that are empty. Can I then now, that's the intervention can only come about if you are part and parcel of understanding the problem. And I feel in different government agencies, without actually pointing any finger to anyone, that sometimes you're working so hard in your space and you are not really interacting with the industry players and the gaps that are there for you to understand the problem and then say, in my ministry, I have so-and-so agency, why can't I do ABCD? And I'll tell you who has done such an excellent job at playing that, role of stakeholders and collaboration. Moses Kuria. Look at what Moses Kuria did with trade before he was moved. And then look at what he's doing with NYS, for instance. NYS has been a resource that sits there. Thousands and thousands of youth just growing old as an NYS officer and not actually being used. They are a resource that's sitting there. When I heard that now he's looking into ways to ensure that they help, for instance, with the backlog of distribution of passports, I was like, yes, because they're just sitting there. Huduma centers are full with queues and queues. One table has a queue of I don't know how many hundreds of people. And I'm like, just bring those NYS officers, train them, and have 5 desks so that people turn around time of you being in a Huduma center, because NYS it's a sitting resource. So we need more of this kind of interventions. And for me, that's where I see the missing link is. It's not that government is not working. Government is working. It's just that we could be more efficient in terms of intergovernmental collaborations with different agencies.
This intergovernmental story, though, before we even go from the government to the others, within the government itself, the amount of money that is spent on education, because you said it is not possible for the government does not have the capacity to reach every needy child. The government is actually the custodian of this child from the age of 5. When this child enters ECD, they are in government hands. through primary school, they're in government hands. By the time this child is going into secondary school, they're in government hands. The government has direct
maybe
visibility
what I
and
should have
contact.
said is
Number
the
one.
government, the
Number
national
two,
government. Maybe that's what I should have
the
said.
national government has this child from the age of 7.
Yes.
All the way through primary school into secondary school. The national government is a custodian of a 600 billion shilling budget directly to education. The national government is the custodian of around 40 billion shillings education bursary per constituency. 40 million. All right? Times 290. The national government is the custodian of the ministry's education budget, blah, blah, blah. The national government knows each child by name. That's why the national government can tell you which child scores how many marks and which child is going to this school. So the national government knows the needy children. I do not understand when you say it lacks the capacity to reach the needy children, such that those that are needy end up not benefiting, that they have to actually get into the arms of Gloria Roba and others.
Am I allowed to correct myself first of all?
Okay.
Let me say this. It's not the capacity that the national government lacks. I will say it's the systems in place that lacks the efficiency. For instance, the monies that you have quoted, I'm sure if we go down to looking at the expenditure of the same, you will find a huge lump sum of it spent on books, logistics. You know, there's even a part that is ring-fenced to general supplies, which means you can buy anything and everything across board and put it under general supplies. That is where I think the problem is. And sometimes I look at the amounts of money we spend, for instance, on books, and I think to myself, gosh, we're moving to a digital economy, a digital world, a digital everything, where a one-off investment of a projector and, you know, an online platform with all these things would probably suffice. Or during Corona, remember, we had kids not going to schools, right? And the kids who were home were forced to learn online through all these various platforms that suddenly mushroomed. I don't know why we are not thinking futuristic, in the sense that perhaps what we need to invest in is a digital device that doesn't need to be bought for every other student that comes in.
We also don't know why.
And then I think, no, and these are questions I'm putting out there because, you know, we can't always say that, I mean, as government also, we are open to criticism, and me personally as well.
Government is not open to criticism.
Oh, yes, we are. That's why we are listening. That's why I have public participation. That's why I'm government. I am a government UDA nominated senator, and I am open to criticism.
All right, I'm a citizen of this government. Does it make me government?
Well, yes, because it's a collective measure. What is government? What is government? No, I'm just saying, Senator, the criticism.
Senator, it's not a criticism. We are pointing out to factual anomalies that exist.
Okay.
It's not a criticism. It is always seen as a criticism when you point out and say, this isn't adding up.
So I think what we should do is be futuristic in our planning. Because if we spent a huge amount of money on buying textbooks, some of which are, I'm not saying they're irrelevant, Senator, but you know.
I think we should also be presently accountable. Okay, that's it. Go.
We are very futuristic. If you go to the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, you would be amazed at what those people have done, what the plan, you would be amazed. When we had the laptop, what is that little gadget that we're supposed to give students?
One laptop for every child.
Whatever it was. We're being futuristic. In the time when I was in primary school, we used to have lessons on radio. Radio.
Me too, I remember we had lessons on radio.
Now you tell me, what? It was government.
Yes.
What stopped the government from simply going along with the development? Because radio was there for the longest time.
Maybe that's the conversation we need to have.
Now, the sort of money the government spends, if you look at the itemized, these things we talk about futuristic, they feature what is planned, what they want to do, how they want to do these things.
But let me just say, laptops are not featured to students.
No.
And what is happening is there are so many.
Please,
yeah.
I said plans.
Yes, maybe plans.
I said plans.
And maybe plans.
For the futuristic.
But you know, plans are plans, yeah? You know, me, I'm a doer. People should start implementing plans.
Plans are meant to be implemented. So when you say systems, ask myself.
Yeah, but let me ask you then, why then do we have a push for textbooks?
We is who?
We as a nation, people who come to my office are parents who say nisaidie kununua textbooks.
Because
those are us. That's Kenyans.
Because the education system has told them you must
buy books. And then it tells them you must change these books every so often when somebody decides to change the curriculum.
What I will say, the curriculum, by the way, needed to change. That's for sure. Because
really,
yes.
To see in the
airport, but let's focus. Yeah. So my on the. It's not lacks the capacity, but I think the efficiency on how we are prioritizing and spending that money should be relooked into, considering.
In 40 seconds,
yes.
How do we move to ensure that we have this efficiency?
How do we move?
Yes.
First, we need to be able to, when there's a problem that has been put forward, we should either come with suggested solutions, and if we have none, we should accept those that has been put on the table. For instance, there's an issue of payments and head teachers and administrative people taking that money, and the solution the intervention that has been provided by the minister is that there is an online transparent portal where you pay to. Let us try it, because
my friend,
change management can only be done. We have to do something. You can't keep talking about it. We have to do something.
Okay.
Yeah.
To make us care.
Get ready for premium tiers.
Do I have? Give me like my closing remarks.
We've just given you.
My closing remarks can't be on that.
We have 10 seconds.
Okay. This is my closing remarks. There is hope for this country. Be positive. Our president is working hard to make sure that all these bureaucratic, logistical nightmares are being solved across board. Yeah.
Sawa. To make us care. It is coming up to 10 a.m. Have a lovely day, people. We'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves.